For the conference title, the Maverick men are at home against South Dakota on Thursday and South Dakota State on Saturday. And Maverick hockey only has 4 regular season home games left on February 23rd and 24th when they take on Colorado College in a top 20 matchup. Let's pack the Baxter. Get your tickets now. Call the box office at 402-554-MAVS or omavs.com/tigs.
Do you know a high school senior who'd like a $12,000 college scholarship? Be sure to tell them that the Salvation Army is now seeking nominations for the DJ's Hero Award scholarships. We're looking for Nebraska high school seniors who have overcome adversity and who are doing the most good in their communities. The application deadline is Wednesday, March 13th, so nominate your hero today. Just go to djshero.org for more information. That's djshero.org.
The backseat. Check the backseat. All right, come here. Check the backseat.
Gets in your head, right? Good. Because every year, dozens of children are forgotten in the backseat of a car by a parent or caregiver. All never thought it could happen to them. But with changes in routines, distractions, or a sleeping child, it can happen to anyone. Parked cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. So get it in your head.
Check the backseat.
A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Love Languages, presented by Fernando's. For spending quality time.
Let's go out and get tacos.
Come and feel the love at Fernando's, 75th and Pacific, 114th and Dodge, and FernandosOmaha.com.
Join me, Jimmy Allen, for the Creighton Athletics Hour. We'll be talking all things Blue Jays and interviewing your favorite coaches, so you don't want to miss it. It's the Creighton Athletics Hour, Thursdays, starting at 6 o'clock, only on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and your 1620 The Zone mobile app.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
Since 1972, family-owned and locally roasted Host Coffee Service has been roasting the finest coffee for businesses and restaurants. If you're ready to change to a better coffee provider, it's time for Host Coffee.
Omaha's best coffee since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
1620 The Zone.
Here's Alexander. Up top for Kalkbrenner. Kalkbrenner goes outside for Baylor. Baylor looks for Kalkbrenner. Kalkbrenner's got it. Layup good! And that's it! That's the 10th assist and the first traditional triple-double in Creighton Blue Jay basketball history belongs to Aurora, Nebraska's Baylor Shireman. 10, 10, and 10. Mason Miller comes in, and Baylor Shireman checks out. Standing ovation for Baylor Shireman, the super senior, and I do mean super senior, from Aurora, Nebraska.
Live from 50th and Capitol Avenue in the Big O. This is Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and 1620 The Zone TV. Now here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy.
You're cooking with gas.
Hey, happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Hey, you too.
Jimmy's
wearing red.
Love is a game.
And it had nothing to do with the day.
Yeah.
I actually forgot today was
cute.
that day.
Really?
Yeah.
Does your wife know that?
It's
No, we've been married almost 12 years. So
Oh, that shouldn't stop anything. What a lame excuse.
Yeah, exactly.
No, we're having the heart pizza later. We always get a heart pizza.
Oh.
From where?
I don't know yet. I'm willing to take suggestions.
Da Vinci's in Lincoln used to have the heart pizza. I've dabbled in it. I think it's Valentino's, right?
Yeah, Valentino's was the only one I knew that had one, but I think others have tried since.
Yeah, others have. But I'll take that into account.
Oh, that's kind of a nice little tradition.
Yeah.
Do a little wine?
Yeah, yes.
All right.
Definitely.
Magic time?
Yeah. It was in Orlando last night. Forgot to
no.
throw that out for Shaq.
Happy time.
Oh, happy time.
Magic, happy, whatever, however you want to characterize it.
It was happy time for Baylor Shireman last night. So,
well, welcome in, everybody. It is Valentine's Day. It is Ash Wednesday.
Yeah.
It is also the Kansas City Chiefs parade that starts at 11 a.m. and it's going to be 51 degrees.
Yeah.
The first year they won the Super Bowl under Mahomes, it was bitterly cold.
Yeah, I remember that.
Now it's going to be 51. I imagine they will have a monster crowd. No Taylor Swift, though, for all the Swifties out there that want to watch. The city of Kansas City asked that she not come because they were not staffed well enough to protect her and all of the mayhem. but she's also on her way to Australia.
Yeah, I was going to say, is she catching a flight to Australia?
Yeah, but love is a game that both can play and win.
Could she hook
So
up
you
with
can
an
be a
Aussie
winner
rules
today.
person?
Yeah. All right, welcome in, everybody. Yeah, this is.
You've been sitting on that one for a little bit.
Oh, you know what? Hey, I like Valentine's Day. I will tell you this. So I know she's listening. I went and got flowers last night. Flowers are expensive this year.
Yeah.
What happened to those people in South America doing up my flowers? Because they're expensive.
Yeah.
Are they cheaper tomorrow?
Well,
there could be some pre-made like I
know candy
assortments, arrangements that didn't get off the shelf. That maybe tomorrow. But good luck doing that.
That's good, Jimmy. You're the kind of guy that you strike me as you're Mr. December 26th in the stores buying up all the wrapping paper.
Ask her. She's the one who taught me to save money.
Yeah.
She goes, it's economical.
Like, you know what? Let's do the Christmas on the 27th.
Candy on November 1st.
Hey, let's do Thanksgiving December 1 because turkeys will probably be cheaper.
You got to give her the product.
Hey, let's go out on St. Patrick's Day. Let's go celebrate it let's go before everybody else. Let's go there on the 10th.
Ooh, that's actually a good idea.
Spoken like a couple of 2 journalism degrees.
This is not for some people, this isn't a great day. I mean, not everybody is in love.
Oh,
some people are married, but they're not in love. Some are very vengeful. Some will break up today.
Ooh.
You slide into somebody's MySpace and say, peace, I'm out.
Or you did the worst thing and you started dating someone yesterday. And then you got to deal with today.
Yeah, that's a bad play on both sides because you got to understand what the day is because there's a lot of pressure there. Yeah, you're not starting. And the only way you're starting yesterday is you got hammered on Mardi Gras.
Well, yeah.
And you're like, oh, man, bad decision.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
Yeah, bad decision.
Exactly.
All right.
So we all remember what last night was in $1 beers at CHI Health Center. Maybe Love was in the air last night, too.
Love is not in the air, and I apologize. I love him, man. He's a great listener, good dude, Asian Joe. He's the lone Georgetown Hoya fan that I know. Never did I think that when Creighton joined the Big East and Georgetown was part of the Big East, you'd ever have a night in Omaha, whether it be on a weekend or a weekday, where you would have to push $1 beers and fan appreciation to get more than 10,000 to come watch Georgetown Creighton play. If they last night's crowd was light in the shorts, and understandable. It's a Tuesday. It's a 7:30. The opponent you're playing. There's a bigger game a week from Tuesday, but never did I think that Georgetown would draw such a meh when Creighton joined the Big East, and that's what it was. Georgetown's bad. Georgetown's a really, really bad basketball team.
Yep.
Ed Cooley might be the nicest guy in the world. That is a bad basketball team that tried to play against Creighton last night, who played really, really well. And I don't think it's always easy to play well against a bad team. Man, Georgetown's awful. There's no – I know Odson put it up on the prediction board that Georgetown won't win more than 2 games this year. They've only won 1.
It's looking good.
Oh,
like a DePaul game.
It's going to be a struggle to win a game that is not against DePaul. They're bad. They're really, really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the thing, too. We mentioned yesterday that Creighton, in the Creighton game, the previous matchup, that Georgetown didn't have Epps and kind of thought, probably not a big deal.
I don't think it was a bad. I think the guy shoots all the time.
Yeah, he does.
The guy never stops shooting. Their basketball IQ is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Cooley's going to snap. I threw a water bottle last night during a timeout, but I don't know how he keeps it together because their basketball IQ is brutal. I mean, I watched a 4th grade YMCA team over the weekend, and they might have better basketball IQ than the majority of that Georgetown team. And I'm being nice.
Yeah.
And
those games get heated, too.
Well, in the stands, they do, yes.
Yeah, it's more on the parent side, yeah. Yeah, that game last night, I was telling Jimmy when I got here, so really the only drama in the second half was, the highlight that you heard. Like, okay, can Baylor Shireman do something that nobody's done from the traditional standpoint and nothing since 85 with Benoit Benjamin? So There was at least that once he did it. I'm like, okay, what's going on in that Ohio State-Wisconsin game?
First one to 40.
Which I did take a look at that one too. Wisconsin, good for them. They broke a 4-game losing streak, but they still can't score. Like all of a sudden, Wisconsin just can't shoot, which is kind of weird.
Yeah. That Ohio State opening and Michigan opening is going to be kind of interesting to see who they pursue.
Yeah, because those are, And Juwan Howard, listening to him last night and after the game, like there's part of you, like you watch a struggling coach that is just out of answers at this point, and he was asked the question about if he still likes coaching, and I think the obvious answer to that too, but he gives you that heartfelt, yes, he does, and how the players mean stuff to him. But it's at that point where
miss him next
you're listening to a guy who who's just completely out of answers. And I think he, without actually admitting it last night, he knows. I mean, that's what I took away from listening to Juwan Howard last night too. I mean,
they're 8-17. They got beat by 29 against Illinois, and
Yeah.
I'll be very curious to see what the atmosphere is like when Nebraska plays there at the end of the year, because that's the last regular season game is in Ann Arbor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a dead man walking.
Yeah,
it's just they're gonna do a documentary on how Michigan basketball under Juwan Howard just fell off the cliff. Now they could do a documentary on Ed Cooley. Ed Cooley, super nice guy, good for the game. I'm not talking to you Providence people. I do worry about him keeping that together. They're not very good. They're not very good at all. And I think when you kind of know it going in, that it would be a little bit of a transition, but on the back end, it could be really good with a recommitment to basketball. But man, Epps he shot him out of moments last night. You know, they got off to a good start and then reality kicked in, but Epps just keeps shooting. And there's nothing Ed Cooley could do. They're worse. Seeing them in person last night, they're worse than I thought. And, you know, it's your first year where you can amp the transfer portal and things, and you got a really, really good head coach. You would think they would be better. They're not. They're not good at all.
Yeah. Now, that watching the start that they got off to, and you're right now, is probably like the worst thing for Epps, because all of a sudden, like, hey, knock down a couple threes. Well, just keep shooting them. But you brought up something about the basketball IQ, and I think when you watch a team like Creighton, that they know their system, they're comfortable in their system, they can kind of run their system in their sleep. And, you know, even early in the game when maybe some of their shots aren't falling right away, like Baylor Shireman was kind of cold there in the first half too. It's just, you talk about contrast and styles, but more than anything of teams that know exactly what they're trying to accomplish on each possession, both defensively and offensively. And Georgetown, it just kind of looked like a jumbled up mess. I mean, it at one point it was just, okay, one and done shot within 5 seconds of the shot clock. And then, you know, they come down and they would look awful defensively. Like I'm watching them trying to get through picks, and you know, you're coming underneath picks. I mean, the space, I mean, that was a thing too. Like the first half, that thing could have been way worse on how they're getting out on shooters, the amount of space that they're giving shooters. I mean, they were lucky that Creighton was missing some shots early on. It was just everything that you would expect a Georgetown, like even in some of the bad Georgetown teams from a record standpoint, like they had length on the perimeter so they could contest shots. There were things that at least they could present that would maybe on a given night make it for a tough matchup. Like you just saw none of that. You've seen none of that with this team. And so
I worry about Ed Cooley holding it together. You know, he went through the Providence return. People are chirping at him. He's got a bad basketball team, and yet he has to put on a good face.
Yeah.
It's also, so not to take anything, Creighton played really well last night. And their big three did what the big three have done. And I don't think it's easy to play against a bad team. You can say, well, you're 18.5-point favorites, and Creighton covered. So that was the most was the most important thing to some. I would say a good majority of the people that were there last night, they were like, hey, you know what? They covered. That's good. That's good. At least my app works, FanDuel. Okay. But it's not easy to play against a team that plays that poorly and is a little disjointed.
Right.
And Creighton did what they had to do.
Yeah, you can get sucked into it.
Now, Shireman's triple-double, that's impressive in the college game. And Baylor is like a nightly walking triple-double. But when he hit the triple-double, and I saw tweets start to come out about who had done it in the past, you know, his triple-double was the first in, 104 years?
Yeah.
But then I don't know, because we brought him up yesterday, how many people realize how dominant Benoit Benjamin was at Creighton?
Yeah, he did it with 10 blocks.
Like 43, 12, and 10.
Yeah.
Like those kind of nights back in the 80s. How great Benoit Benjamin was at Creighton.
I just remember him with the Clippers and David Robinson taking him to school.
Look at his numbers when he was playing here. Like there's specific nights. There's like 4 nights that I saw, I think it was Rob Anderson put out. And I'm like, damn, that is a hell of a stat line for a guy in college.
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed I never really got to see him play. I was like 5 years old when he was playing. And the broadcast between Kevin and Nick did a good job of highlighting Benoit Benjamin. And they're like, at one point they even had said, well, this broadcast has a lot of Benoit Benjamin references, which it did. But you're right. I mean, it kind of like, there's probably a lot of people that are listening that are either like my age or younger. They're like, wait, I gotta look this guy up, what he did at Creighton. Like you probably have heard of him, like you said, Jimmy, in the NBA, but it's like, damn, we always think of like Kyle Korvers and some of these, you know, the players that have gone through Creighton. Like, damn, that guy was a dude doing 10 blocks. Holy hell.
the thing about watching Shireman play, and Max said this last night, and I there's part of me that sits there and watches Creighton and goes, wow, what are they going to be like next year? You're going to have to spend some cash.
Mm-hmm.
But Shireman looks like the same guy that played at Aurora High School, that played at South Dakota State, and now is playing at Creighton. The same exact guy. The kid can ball. It doesn't matter what level, and he's in his element. And he's a walking triple-double. But the bigger story to me last night wasn't that Creighton covered and Creighton helped themselves. And now the next two games are intriguing because they go to Hinkle on Saturday, and then they come back next week for UConn, which I'm amazed that UConn isn't getting more run. In a year where some will say college basketball is wide open, I think there's two good teams, UConn and Purdue.
Yeah,
but UConn is above everybody else. But it seems like we poo-poo 22-2. Well, they're going to be in town next Tuesday, and we already know about UConn. And UConn and Marquette play Saturday, which is a monster game of the only two teams right now that I believe are Final Four worthy out of the Big East. Creighton's second weekend, but I have more faith in UConn and Marquette looking like a Final Four team.
Mm-hmm.
But my bigger takeaway from last night is after the game is over. You guys know where I'm going?
No.
So, Mac and Ed Cooley are great friends.
Yeah.
They have an enormous amount of respect for each other. Like, it's kind of cool in this industry that you have two guys that are high-level coaches, that are very competitive, that have the kind of relationship that they do. And, Ed Cooley and Mac have always spoke highly of each other in front of the media, and they always praise each other's programs. So Ed Cooley comes into the post-game press conference last night, and again, I like Ed. I just think this is a bad team. That they shouldn't be this bad in his first year, but it is what it is. They're now 1-12 in the Big East. But he gives praise to Creighton as a team. I mean, he said they could have beaten the Boston Celtics.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah.
Only problem is Ed Cooley did not have the Jason Tatum that played last night against Brooklyn and had 41.
If he had Tatum, period.
He also praised Shireman, an NBA guy. He talked about the big three. But here is the biggest takeaway for me last night is as he's getting done, he says, quote, "They played really, really well today. You guys got a hell of a coach. I hope you all appreciate him."
But isn't that kind of been the thing around Mac? I mean, in a way, we even kind of broached the topic of are fans now completely on the side of, like, when you think of Creighton basketball, he's the face. You're not thinking of the Dana Altmans.
No, see, I'm not going there. I'm vibing with you, Nick. I think I know where you're going, but I'm not going there. So I just laid it out for you. Ed Cooley and Mac are great friends. They talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
I hope you all appreciate him.
I know exactly where you're going.
He's not talking to
head.
He's not talking to the fans. He's talking straight to the administration at Creighton. Because I would have a hard time if I found a Creighton fan that did not appreciate what Mac has done. We're probably not having discussions any longer.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I guess you're right as far as who would you.
I mean, I could be wrong. Someone could 951-1620. You could say no. I think he's talking to the fans because there's a good section that really doesn't appreciate Mac, and they want Mac to go retire. And I'll be like, shut your face. Hey, you don't realize what you got.
Our phones. I
don't think he's talking to the fans. I think he's talking to Creighton's administration.
Yeah, those little subtle.
Which is they're friends. Okay, so they talk. Hey, how's it going? What do you think? Everything good, man? You got a great team. You can make another run. I know it's a grind. This is the time of the year where, geez, you just want to get to Madison Square Garden. You want to get the postseason started. How's everything going? That's my read. I could be completely off, but that's how I took that comment. Good on Ed.
You just got me. I'm just like thinking of so many different things of where that's coming from, what that could mean.
That last line really unsolicited.
Yeah.
That's the biggest takeaway from that. It's
if
not
you
like
would have
somebody
just stopped, if you would have just stopped and said, "You got a hell of a coach," people are going,
"Yep,
yeah,
we know. Thanks, coach."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you all appreciate it. You just don't say. I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't think you
no,
just
you're
say
right.
that unsolicited.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay. Like it'd be one thing if there was, say like Creighton had been on a losing streak and there had been, again, this kind of goes back more to the fans, but maybe even not even getting like administrative support or something of that nature where you're hitting a lull in the season. But clearly that's not
you don't
the scenario playing out for Creighton.
You don't say that. You don't say that line
when
for
you're
a
a top
program
25
that's
team.
a top 25 team.
I agree.
Okay.
Huh.
I very much smell what you're cooking.
I'm telling you.
But that is a good. It's a good discussion to have, though.
Well, have it,
because if we're thinking about,
because I think it's probably an uncomfortable conversation for some. If you're vibing with what I'm saying,
mm-hmm.
And that's always been kind of the feeling with Mac is we know, and we've even kind of talked about this before that Mac is a guy that would be very attractive to other jobs. Okay, so as an administration, I would think that, and this is where this is the conversation we were having yesterday of kind of how good Creighton has it and has had it lately, especially that transition into the Big East, having a guy that has had so much success, large amounts of success, where any of those seasons where, they were struggling to get 500 in the conference was such an outlier to be able to do that. I mean, and look at what they were up against last night. Perfect example of what was once a great basketball brand that is absolutely fractured. Creighton has never even in their lowest points here in the Big East have not had those types of lows. So this is a head coach that has, from anything, more than anything, I think of success and I think of consistency when I think of Coach Mack. That is something in this college basketball world that I think a lot of people are trying to seek when it comes to the leader of their program. So the question is, how much of that is actually appreciated? And this is where, sometimes, compensation is private because of the institution itself. So you don't always know exactly when you're getting the raise, when you're getting the extension, how much that is worth. But is it to what Greg McDermott should be making based on the success that they continue to have at Creighton? You had a Elite Eight run where you are second, a whistle away from a Final Four. Is that support reflecting that?
I don't think it's just you got a really good coach here. You're in Omaha, Nebraska. Okay. Just make sure that you take care of him and you realize what he has done for your program to put it on that stage.
He's 2 wins away from 600 too. There's another thing.
So, I didn't want to put words in your mouth. You may have seen it somewhere. You have taken that quote something different. You were going somewhere else.
Yeah, I was. At first, I thought, because I hadn't heard that at the end of last night. And at first, I initially think of, okay, do we take the success for granted? As fans, as media, do we take that success for granted? And we just assume that every year is going to be positive. But you're right. The more I think about that, when that's coming from someone who knows Mac very well, that to me doesn't sound like gauging the fans. Because again, I don't think,
man, I'd have a hard time having a conversation with you if you're a fan that doesn't appreciate your head basketball coach and what they've done for that university. We couldn't have any speaks.
Yeah.
Okay. We would walk on separate sides of the street. That just curious after a game like that. But a good win for Creighton. And now things get, as they do in the Big East, you got to go to Butler. Butler challenged Marquette last night. That is a team that thinks they're an NCAA team. They still need something on the resume. I mean, a sweep of Creighton would be big for Butler. Then you come home for UConn. So never a night off in the Big East unless you're playing DePaul and Georgetown. All right, welcome in, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Jordan Love out there for Jimmy Darnell Valentine.
Gosh.
Old KU guard back in the 80s.
Cleveland Cavaliers, great.
Former, involved in Major League in dugouts as a manager. Rick Sweet.
Oh,
you got Bobby Valentine.
Yeah.
Bobby Valentine's still an athletic director at the small school in Connecticut.
God, I don't know.
With the fake mustache.
I have no idea what he's doing these days. What about Benny Valentine? There's a Benny Valentine too.
There's a Darnell Valentine.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Denzel Valentine.
There's a Ted Valentine.
Yeah, there's Teddy Valentine. He should be working today.
Yeah.
So Teddy TV has worked a lot more games like in the A10, I've noticed.
Mm-hmm.
When I stop on CBS Sports Network, which seems to be the home of the A10 in the Mountain West.
And DePaul.
Teddy Valentine.
Yes, DePaul.
Yeah, he needs to be working tonight. I'm sure he's got to be working.
Or does he get the night off?
No, he wants that.
No, I
Okay.
think.
Because you get the extra airtime.
They'd be talking about him.
Yeah.
I wonder how he got his last name. Well, all right. Let me get you lined up for today's show. On the heels of the win last night downtown against Georgetown and Baylor Shireman's triple-double. Also not to be lost is another good night by Kalkbrenner and Trey Alexander, who hit 6 threes. Matt DeMarinis from Blue Right Review will join us coming up at 8. We complete our trip around the state for baseball. Lance Harville, the assistant coach for Nebraska. Nebraska's headed to Arlington to take on some old Big 12 foes this weekend. They announced their starting rotation. Welcome to the world of Rob Childers. If you don't throw strikes and you don't miss bats, you don't get the honor of starting. But Brett Sears starting on Friday. I'm very, very intrigued.
I'm too.
So Lance will join us coming up at 8:30, and then Brandon Vogel as well. It is the lineup brought to you by the Roof Rees at John Higgins Weather Guard. We have lots to discuss. Matt Rule got loose on the radio last night. Said some stuff that kind of gives you a glimpse into the program. And I noticed this morning as I was walking in from the parking lot, they must have started mat drills because they tweeted something out at 6.
Oh. Well, yeah, I thought he said that last night. I thought he said that they were starting this. I thought they were starting last
let
week.
me look here. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah,
there we go.
They have too much excitement for
they're a big Valentine's Day
mat drills at 6 in the morning. But we won't require you to do mat drills.
They're not doing it in the snow. There's no snow in the field this time. This time last year,
Hush
there
your
was.
mouth. Beautiful day.
Oh, yeah.
60.
Yeah, and that's supposed to snow on Friday?
Yeah, but it'll be gone.
During the
nice
morning,
weekend.
Morning commute?
Yeah. It'll be fine. Hey, I saw driving by Knowles yesterday. They had golfers out there.
Really?
Yeah, there's courses that.
All righty.
Yeah, that they're
today. Not too much wind.
Well, and yesterday there wasn't really any wind. I mean, it was comfortable if you got the equipment, you got the long pants and the long shirt. It would
Make
be
sure
fine.
you get a good stretch in before you go out there.
All right, last night was a good bowl night, by the way. NBA to college. We'll discuss all of that. Always weird when you have a team that doesn't play for a whole week like Nebraska.
I know.
You sit around and go, what should we do? I got nothing to do. So you pay attention to Texas A&M Vanderbilt. And you go, how about you, Jerry Stackhouse? Thank you very much. All right, if you'd like to join the conversation at any point this morning, you can hop onto the 42 Degree The Source hotline, 951-1620. That's the number to get in. Just like I was going to call him by his real name, but I call him by his screen name. Cheddar's Cheetah joins us now to kick off a happy Valentine's Day. Good morning.
Gary, Nick, Jimmy, Cheddar's Cheetah. How are we doing?
Good. How are you doing? You can't
I'm
use
doing well.
your real name.
I can, but I have not talked to you in forever. The format's changed a little bit. Not as many phone calls as back in the past, but I just wanted to talk to you. Go Chiefs. That secondary is really, really good.
Yes, it is.
Those defensive backs are phenomenal.
You can just go on and on.
I love them all, but the sports gods are very fickle. They're very fickle. It's pitchers and catchers report day today, and I wake up and I realize that Marmol is still my manager. And I just don't think I was allowed the proper amount of time to celebrate the Chiefs win with this happening.
No. You don't worry about your Cardinals, okay? They'll find a way to win 84 games.
I don't know if that's going to be good enough to get where I want to get to, though.
I think 85 wins that division.
It could. That division is not going to be good.
Hey, do you think Steve Spagnuolo should go to the Hall of Fame as a defensive coach?
If there's no precedent, why not start the precedent, right? I mean, if Devin Hester is getting in the Hall of Fame, I think Dante Hall and Steve Spagnuolo should be in the Hall of Fame if we're going to go that route.
He's got 4 rings, and the 4 rings are against 4 number 1 seeds.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I know. I think if you're going to get a coordinator in, absolutely, he's the one. I mean, he is. I heard an interesting stat. He played the 3 final teams that we played this year averaged over 30 points a game this year, and I think he held them to an average of 15 in the playoffs.
Yep. The most they gave up all year was 27.
Yeah. It's what he does in the second half of games is phenomenal. I mean, It is. He's playing chess while most others are playing checkers. So it's pretty interesting to see what he does. And like it goes back to the players on the field and them buying into what he's coaching. Those quarterbacks, McDuffie, Snead, the safeties. I mean, they're phenomenal, and we got to get Jones back as well. We were talking yesterday. I don't know if we're going to get a chance to 3-peat discount on him, but 30. I've been reading 35 mil is about what it's probably going to take. Because he can be franchised for about 32. So I think it's going to be about 35 a year, unless we can get a little discount for him. But it'll be interesting to see what happens this offseason.
Yeah,
do they go
get a
wide receiver?
Yes.
Or do they go with the young ones that they have?
Well, the one thing that they've perfected is they don't pay wide receivers a lot of money. But I think that wide receiver offensive line will be an area they go.
Yeah.
I think Snead to me is more important than Chris Jones. And then they go Chris Jones and taking care of a contract.
I would agree with that. I think I would agree with that. I think Chris Jones is an animal, but I think Snead, you lock him up. What is he? 4 years younger than Chris Jones.
Yep.
I think that's says a lot. So, but anyway, I won't keep you guys. I would love the show. Keep doing what you're doing, and we'll listen on from here.
All right, thanks, Chettis.
Chetta. Anybody
It
going to the
took me a
parade?
minute.
Anybody that going to the parade? Anybody that any of us know going to the parade?
I don't know.
Nice weather. I
Cole
wouldn't
down at
blame
KLAN has gone a couple of years. He took his kids.
Did you go?
I don't know. It's weird.
I know you didn't go last year. Did you go to the first one?
No.
Okay.
I think I was still hungover.
As you
It's a weird day. It's like
shouldn't be driving.
It's like Valentine's Day. It's Ash Wednesday.
Yeah.
A
Well,
lot of
today,
stuff
yeah.
going on.
Yeah. It falls.
You
under
could
there,
really make a big deal with doing ashes at the parade. So you sell them for $1.
You think they're going to be? You think they're going to be priests out there that are blessing the?
Wow.
Blessing the party goers.
You can
Now,
always make a buck.
I don't know if you're a man of faith, but I'm guessing you're not. The ashes don't cost anything.
Yeah,
I know.
Usually don't charge.
But then
That
they
would
think
be-
I don't need to stop.
I think
on
that
the way
would
home.
be a scam.
Those would be faux ashes.
I think you would immediately to go to HE double hockey sticks. If you were running a scam at the Kansas City Chiefs Valentine's Day Ash Wednesday parade, and you were charging people $1 to put your thumb in the ashes and put the sign across on their forehead, and you're not even a priest.
Yep.
What if you donate it to a
I
church?
believe that is not kosher, is what they say on the street.
Yes.
Yeah.
That doesn't fly. Though, if you do get ordained online and they have like the accessories that you can purchase, you can get the collar. It's very easy to do.
You're going to say the ashes.
Well,
I've never looked.
I haven't looked to see if they have the ashes, but yeah, I mean, you can get the accessories, and one of the accessories is actually getting the collar. Like, no, I'm sorry,
that'd be worse.
I would feel very weird doing that. Yeah, if you're like marrying a friend or something like that, and you're the officiant, and all of a sudden you show up with a collar, isn't that kind of sacrilegious thing?
Yes.
But yet they have them available for purchase.
See, that I would not do.
Okay, so should I flex on a priest? By the way,
I mean,
should I go online and just talk smack to a priest who lied to his congregation on Sunday?
Oh,
so Father John over at Christ the King, because I ran into him later in the afternoon at the grocery store, and I said, "Hey, Father, how you doing?" And I had my Chiefs hoodie on, and he goes, "Where are you watching the game?" I said, "Watching it at home." And he goes, "Well, good luck." And I said, "Chiefs fan?" And he said, "Nope. I told in my sermon, I told everybody that the 49ers are going to win." And I said, "Ooh," I go, "That's going to be harsh for you because you're not supposed to lie as a priest."
Right.
So we haven't had any communication since then. Thinking about stopping by Christ the King today, going into confession, and he's sitting there taking confession, and I go, I don't know, that might be bad. But
are you supposed to be the bigger man when it comes to your dealings with the priest?
He lied to the people at Christ the King.
That's what I mean.
On Sunday.
It is.
He said the 49ers are going to win. And you would think because everything's rigged that he would have the power as a man of the cloth. It did not happen.
Gary, don't worry. It's going to go to overtime and 15's going to come through for you. Enjoy the game.
Gosh, if he would have said that, I'd been like, man, we got a gambling priest.
So, Padre, what do you got on tonight's Illinois game?
Off and running. Lots to discuss. And God dang it. We got to come up with something to sacrifice at the spring game. We just have to. We just have to. Because the curse is real. Mm-hmm. The curse of Nebraska athletics is absolutely real with the news yesterday that Jordy Ball is out for the season. So we got to come up with something. I mean, someone's going to have to take one for old GBR.
I mean, at this point, we got to get drastic.
Callahan?
Is there anybody?
Not Gascan?
No.
All right, 40 past the hour. There's Nick, Jimmy. I'm Gary. Happy Valentine's every day, everybody. This is our gift to you with all kinds of love, like one love. But in this case, it's 1620 love.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. The best way to catch all the action is on 1620 The Zone. And no line for the bathroom.
When you wake up well-rested on a great mattress, everything becomes clear.
That meeting could have been an email.
Things you missed when you were tired finally reveal themselves.
Look at all the things my neck can do now.
At Mattress Firm, we know the right mattress matters. That's why we give you 120 nights to make sure it's right for you, or your money back. Plus, you get free and fast delivery. Shop in-store or online at mattressfirm.com. The right mattress matters. We'll find yours. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
Don't miss this week's Zone Deal.
This week's half-off deal is Kops. Receive 2 $25 gift vouchers for just $25. Kops makes delicious pizza, fresh salads, and tasty charred wings. For the basic menu, click copspizza.com. And for the extended menu, visit them at Shadow Lake Town Center, 180th and Center, and the newly reopened 72nd and Jones locations.
Zone deals go fast. 9 a.m. Friday, 1620thezone.com.
Hey, Brianna, look at you, graduating already.
Yeah, knocked out my gen eds in 2 years at MCC.
And now you're off to
finish my 4-year degree at the university.
That was fast. I'll bet your mom
loves that. We saved thousands in tuition.
Now that's smart.
That's Metropolitan Community College.
Knock out your gen eds in 2 years before transferring to a 4-year university. Get started at mccneb.edu/me. Classes start March 7th.
This is me at MCC.
Hey there, Greg Wagner joining you from the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission. Time now for another Nebraska Outdoor Update. Well, it's time to get all your new permits and stamps for hunting, fishing, fur harvesting, and state parks. Time to check your motorboat registration for renewal. Time to make those cabin and camping reservations in the state parks if you haven't done that already. And time to go over all of your outdoor gear for spring and summer. There you go. Have a good one in the great outdoors. I'm Greg Wagner.
News Talk 1290 Coil is your home for Omaha Maverick hockey all season long. Don't miss a single puck drop, power play, barn burner, or any of the action this season. Your home for Maverick hockey, both home and away, is News Talk 1290 Coil.
Listen to the Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jays shoot around and overtime shows, the Creighton men's basketball pregame and postgame shows on 1620 The Zone. The Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jays shoot around and overtime shows are also presented by Union Bank and Trust. Hear the breakdown and coverage about your top-ranked Creighton men's basketball team before and after each game, exclusively on your home for the Creighton Blue Jays. 1620 The Zone, the 1620 The Zone mobile app, and 1620thezone.com.
Love Languages, presented by Fernando's. 3, receiving gifts.
Here, have a taco.
Come and feel the love at Fernando's, 75th and Pacific, 114th and Dodge, and FernandosOmaha.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back in. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Jimmy here as well. Jimmy, have an update coming up after the top of the hour. I saw the founder of Pop-Tarts passed away. His name Bill Post.
Well,
age
at least
of 96.
He lived long enough
yes,
to see a bowl.
To see the bowl game. You know what? That's 96 years old. You've lived a long. Hopefully, it was a great, prosperous life, especially if you're the founder of the Pop-Tarts. Can't imagine that was too bad. But you got to live through one of the greatest bowl sponsors that we've ever seen, and it was edible too.
I hope
the mascot was.
I hope he was in a good space where he could enjoy it.
Yes.
Now, when you have the founder of Pop-Tarts and you have a funeral, do you encourage everyone to bring their favorite Pop-Tart, and then like at the end of the service? I mean, this is a celebration of life.
It is.
I'm with you.
It is.
Funerals are not supposed to be sad.
It is.
They tried to make my mom's funeral sad, and I was like, I'm not putting up with this.
It's easier said than done.
Yeah.
You just naturally get emotional.
By the way,
saying
just a
goodbye.
tip. Just a tip. I don't want this to happen to other people where you have to attend a funeral of a parent. But maybe when you try and make it a celebration of life and not everybody's on board, I should have communicated that a little bit better. Because I did tell some jokes in church.
People are like,
see, I would have appreciated that.
Is it okay to laugh?
Right. But so it's a celebration of life, and the guy has like a major impact on us as consumers and eaters.
Yeah.
Do you encourage everybody to bring their own Pop-Tart, and then at the end of the service, instead of like lifting your glass as a toast, everybody lift their Pop-Tart?
You toast a tart?
Yeah,
absolutely. And the mascot should be there.
Bring your it should.
It should be, yeah.
Bring your favorite Pop-Tart to the founder of Pop-Tarts that's
I can get on board with that. I could also get on board with how they have the flower arrangements, kind of surrounding the casket. Yeah, have like a life size. I mean, the edible one that they sent down the chute for the team to eat.
When you throw flowers in there,
have that on display.
Now, I don't know if the man was Catholic. Most of the Catholic funerals I've been to, they do the incense.
Yeah.
Instead of the incense, you just have the priest walking up and down the aisle, just throwing the mini Pop-Tarts in the air.
I was thinking maybe you could do communion instead of the wafer. You use a mini Pop-Tart.
That's a great idea.
Now, it's unfortunate that this gentleman passed away, but what a life.
I mean, we're celebrating
96.
Yeah, that's a good life.
Okay.
You've lived long.
I ran into somebody recently
Off
in
to
this
the big
whole
toaster in the
Pop-Tarts
sky.
has really taken off. The Pop-Tart Bowl came about and everybody's like, yeah, I remember that from my day and age. I do remember Pop-Tart. I ate like a lot of Pop-Tarts when I was a kid.
Oh, who
It
didn't?
shows. But
Who
then they
didn't?
came out with like the low-calorie Pop-Tart one
Yeah.
time. That
the
disappeared
fat-free.
pretty quick.
Yeah, the
it was
fat-free. Fat-free. Yeah, no thanks.
It actually did not. As long as you toast it, you're good.
No, I disagree with that. It was.
You could still taste the filling.
You could, but the filling was like it like a lot of the diet stuff. It had like that NutraSweet stuff.
That's
So
right.
it was like it
was like an apple cinnamon.
Yes, it was.
So-
And that was the apple cinnamon. That's the one I remember. It was like in a green box.
So I won't give out his name. He doesn't work here. We got terrible food takes on this radio station.
It's a requirement.
By the way, my hush puppies were better than Long John Silver's last night.
Oh, that's right.
Anyway, and they were from Walmart.
This person puts butter on their Pop-Tart.
What?
And they told me it's a game changer.
I've heard this before.
Now I've not because
No.
because I just can't eat one. I'll eat the box. I have not eaten a full Pop-Tart in a while.
No.
But he said put butter on it and it'll change your life. Just put it in the toaster and then put butter on it and it is. He said it's golden, Jerry.
Well,
just try it.
Okay, what flavor?
It doesn't matter.
Any
Whatever your
flavor?
favorite flavor.
Yeah.
Butter goes well with everything.
That's true.
Go simple. Go with the brown sugar
Yeah,
cinnamon.
this
if you're
is,
gonna try
this
that.
is
That's
your
what I was.
assignment
That's
today.
that's what I was thinking. Was do like a brown sugar cinnamon type thing, because then you kind of doing a whole like cinnamon roll.
It's kind of like
I'm not laughing at you. Somebody just tweeted something that I'm gonna have to read.
Well, yeah.
it's kind of like in the Super Bowl when you have a running back and you should run the ball. That's what the brown sugar.
Hey,
cinnamon
so
Pop-Tart
try
is.
it. Go home.
I'm curious
You probably got
about this.
Pop-Tarts in
Yeah,
the
We do.
cupboard.
We
So
do.
put a little butter on them and then get back to us.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I believe we have strawberry.
That's okay. Okay, that's a good
in there,
one.
and
You
so
can do that.
it's like, and okay, I admit initially I poo-pooed that, but now that I think it's like, I mean, who doesn't like toast with maybe some strawberry jam or some, I don't know, whatever your jam flavor of choice is? You got butter on that toast, right?
It's one of our listeners he would be very appreciative if someone would try it just to back him up.
I'll try it.
Okay.
All right. Before I read this tweet from Kyle, Father, forgive me, I have sinned. By reading this tweet out loud. It's not my tweet. This is from Kyle. If you are the creator of Pop-Tarts, they drop you in a huge toaster and cremate you in front of all your loved ones.
Nice.
Oh my God.
That's so good. I wish I had thought of that.
Well, Jimmy just said he's going to the big toaster up in the sky.
I mean, true.
You think his coffin looks like the wrapping?
Well, that's why I was thinking you could have like maybe a makeshift, like actual pop. I mean, it's not made out of Pop-Tarts. That would obviously deteriorate very fast. But you had like something that kind of looked like a replica, like of a Pop-Tart.
You have to lean into it.
Yeah.
I think so.
See, I was
especially that's your brand, man. Don't you want? You got to associate to your
and his
brand.
probably his kids and his grandkids are going to benefit
Oh,
from.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I again don't know the guy at all, but
He's
I
being
would-
celebrated.
I would think that
We're celebrating.
he would want his legacy to live on, and if that's what you're known for, and you should be damn proud of that, that you'd want to own that.
We
And-
used to throw flowers in the grave. I was raised Catholic, so those funerals, they're designed to try and make you cry several different times by pressing buttons on you. And so that at the end, if you haven't succeeded, you throw flowers in the grave. It's like a final deal. You throw Pop-Tarts.
Yeah,
in
or
this
you go
case.
by and you just place a rose on the casket. You could place a Pop-Tart on the
Yeah.
casket.
All right, welcome to a Valentine's Day show. Todd writes into the Equitable Bank inbox where they take banking personally. He says, butter on a Pop-Tart. It is absolutely a game changer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try it because we do have them at home. It's not a meat option today, which no meat today. So, okay.
Pop-Tarts for dinner. All right.
What if Pop-Tarts did come out with a meat option? That's
Meat
a hot pocket.
Pop-Tart?
Never mind. That's a hot pocket.
Yeah, bad take by you.
Yeah.
Welcome to 1620.
I've had a couple again.
Hot Pockets or Pop-Tarts?
No, bad
Or
food
bad
takes.
takes. Oh, yeah.
Pizza Ranch's chicken.
Out on chicken
Overrated.
for breakfast.
Overrated.
You walk in the studio and you immediately have terrible food takes. It goes with the territory.
Just something about the building or the studio itself?
It's everything.
Okay.
I think it's just being on the air here.
Mm.
No. Gary says, just had a brown sugar Pop-Tart. Did put butter on one since I heard it on the radio. It sticks. Yuck. Okay.
Oh.
Just you get back to us tomorrow.
Oh, we just got an email
Yeah.
from Ken. He's right. Butter on a Pop-Tart is a game changer. As a kid, I put butter on my Pop-Tart crust side for years.
Okay.
And
yeah, I mean,
Ken
is
doesn't
there,
just email me.
I want to
to
make sure I'm doing this right.
Thank you,
Are we doing it on the frosting side?
No, he said the crust side.
Crust side, and that's it. Don't touch the frosting side with it.
Peer pressure. It's starting to
Yeah.
get me to want to go get some Pop-Tarts on the way home. Feel like I'm in high school.
I can
again.
bring you a
Just try
sleeve.
this.
Texter Bernie texts in because that's what you do when you're a texter. He said, "Do you think the day they started making Pop-Tarts without frosting, someone at Kellogg should have been fired?"
Okay.
For sure, talking.
And how
to.
come when you drive by the Kellogg's plant on the interstate, it doesn't smell like Pop-Tarts?
It
Like you
should.
drive by
It smells like
Rotella's and it
cereal.
smells like bread.
But that's kind of smell like cereal.
Yeah, I don't like that smell.
You don't?
No.
Oh, I like it.
Especially when you come home like at 11 o'clock at night.
But
But
if
the
you're-
windows down in the summer and that's what it smells like.
But if you're
I don't
coming
wanna
from
smell-
South Omaha, then
I
you
don't
go by
wanna-
that.
I don't
It's a
wanna
much better smell than what you get.
I don't want to smell Rice Krispie
Yeah, but
treats.
it's better than the stockyards, and that's only a stone throw away from the Kellogg's plant.
There's
Now,
your beef.
I'm going to throw. I don't think this is a bad food take, but this was when I was young and impressionable.
Oh, this is going to be bad.
Remember when you would see the Pop-Tart commercials and they were frostingless? They
Yeah.
looked good. I will say they looked good.
That's when they said they're fat free.
Yeah. The fat free ones were frostingless.
You can have a box. Just don't look at your daily intake
But
of sodium.
it did look good. But then you would put the frosting one next to the one that didn't have the frosting, because I'd like to think we've all tried it. It wasn't even close. But when somehow, you know how people are very good at presenting like the food porn on commercials, and you're like, oh, that looks outstanding, even without the frosting. So I wanted to try it naturally. Yeah, it wasn't the same with the frosting option.
All right. So I hope we get some play-by-play from this gentleman's funeral. He lived a hell of a life at the age of 96 and will live forever because of Pop-Tarts, the best bowl ever created.
And his lasting
It's
moment.
the bowl I want next year.
The bowl and the edible mascot. I mean, there's so many things to take away.
You can
from
keep
that.
your college football playoff.
That
The
is-
Pop-Tart Bowl's better than a
That's
championship.
I mean, we should all be so lucky to go out on a high note like that.
Or be lucky enough that at your funeral you have a mascot there.
That's true.
Yes.
And people are toasting you with Pop-Tarts.
Yes.
All good things.
Okay, so I when we started this segment before we got into the Pop-Tart thing, I was kind of and not kind of joking. So Jordy Ball is out for the year. It's terrible news. Thankfully, excuse me, she immediately says she'll be back next year and she could have another year and they should be able to get her for 26. So at least that is a minor relief that Jordy Ball is not one and done at Nebraska. And it was the Aaron Rodgers and you're out, but she's going to be back and probably back for 2 years. But now we can't. I've tried to avoid it. I've told people no. I don't believe in curses. The Nebraska athletic curse is real. You cannot deny it anymore. When you have somebody that is like changing your program, where they are adding seats, people that have no interest in softball are buying season tickets to come watch one player. And I'll be very curious if they go to the games. I mean, the harsh part of this is they haven't even played a home game yet.
Right.
I mean, at start of the season, first game, couple innings. But is the curse is real? We have to do something. I don't want to sacrifice Coach Solich. I mean,
no,
we did that last year. We didn't try and sacrifice him, which was probably okay.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Should have had a pig roast.
But then it was a 5-7 season
with some hope.
I just think now we have to come up with something because the curse is real. And
we got to get drastic.
And what it does today is for Nebraska football is that Dylan Raiola will be in bubble wrap.
Yes,
like he will not. He should not take classes on campus.
He just made me.
He should not go to any sporting events. He should stay. They should get him like a furbished apartment in Lincoln and just keep him in there until the 31st of August.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking padded walls. I mean, everywhere is just like a big old. It's a big old sponge.
Yeah, but something has to happen this year at the spring game. You got to blow up the rock. You got to lean into it. Yeah, just take the rock.
Maybe the rock.
Drive it out on the field with the tractor, and then just have an explosion right in the middle of the field. And then we just move on.
Yep.
Because the curse is real.
Isn't that what they did with the Bartman ball?
Yes.
They blew it up and then they took the steam. They put like some steam from it and put it into like an actual pasta at a local restaurant. So you had the scapegoat pasta.
Yeah,
people ate it.
You got to blow up the rock, or you know what? Somebody go down there and steal the rock. Now you might need more than just one person to pick up the rock. But you got to do
maybe
something.
A flatbed.
You got to do something because the curse is real. You can't deny it any longer. Okay, it's not just bad hires, bad teams, bad play. It actually is a curse,
and it's now starting to affect other sports.
When you have somebody that is first of all A+ person in Jordy Ball, that happens to her. Oh, it's real. Yeah. I'm not going to deny it anymore. I'm not. I mean, I'd like to give it up for Lent.
Give up the curse for Lent.
I'm going to give up other things for Lent. I heard somebody gave up Twitter for Lent. How about that? What that would do to your psyche? Oh, might improve it.
Yeah, exactly. Would improve. You'd be in much better spirits.
So let's try.
You'd be like Elmo when Lent's done.
Let's try this because Nebraska basketball is hanging on the last 4 in and the bubble and all that.
Yeah.
Kind of, I mean, I don't give up curses for Lent.
Okay.
All right.
I'll add that to donuts.
Okay. Oh, that's what you're giving up?
Yeah, I'm giving up donuts. I've been eating a lot of donuts lately. The last year.
Just random like.
Well,
you go to.
Not every day I come home from work. No,
you go to Krispy Kreme and go, I like a box.
Well,
you don't strike me as a guy that
one
would be
Handley,
Mr.
Gary,
Mr. Dozen.
Let me tell you,
can you throw in another?
They do. At Winchell's, they give you the extra one.
There's an extra one.
But that's the problem. Like if you get 6, like for $5 more, you can get a full dozen. So it's like, well, it makes sense. And then we're sitting there, we're like, well, I can't waste these donuts, and I only got 24 hours to eat them before they go bad, so I got to eat them. I blame my son. Yeah. Yes, but this last year I probably have eaten a little bit more donuts than I'm used to, so I have to give that up.
I used to be like that, and I take a pill every morning.
But I will gladly give up curses.
Here, the final thing, and it's a blow all the way around. Is fortunately she is very strong in her faith and has a huge support system.
Yeah.
Because rehabbing can be very, very lonely.
Mm-hmm.
You're away from the team. You can't compete. You've competed at a high level for the last couple of years. And you don't know if you're ever going to get back to where you were. I mean, there's no guarantee with a knee injury that you're going to be exactly the same, but she's going to work hard. But gosh, thankfully, she has a lot of things in place to help her because I've heard so many stories about people that go through rehab that are elite athletes, high school, college, pro, and you're away from the team, and your best friend is the trainer or whoever you're working with, and you go to a dark place. So at least she's good in that, and she does have a great support system. But God dang it.
Keegan has an idea for you.
What terrible news yesterday?
Oh, it was brutal.
I mean,
and,
you could probably live with, hey, she's going to be out for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But the whole year
Mhm.
with a torn ACL as a pitcher
Yeah.
in the first game where there's been more buildup for Nebraska softball than when Peaches James played there.
Yep.
I feel bad, but at least she's said I'll be back next year. That you now can recruit to her.
Yeah.
But this will be a challenge for Ron.
Well, I want to mention this real quick, and I'm glad you brought up the faith part of it, but also what she had in her Instagram post with announcing the news. And this is something that you don't hear a lot of student athletes talk about when they know that they're going to be out for a year and they're going to have a long recovery in front of them. But how she did mention being able to see the game from a different point of view and from a different perspective now too. And, we've talked about this before with like football players and mainly quarterbacks, like, oh, maybe being on the sideline and seeing the game from a different view can actually help them. I know she's in a place where she's trying to stay as positive as she can, but I think there's a little bit more substance to it with the way that she sort of approaches it, the perspective, even the thought that she put into coming back to Nebraska. I think she has a lot of perspective, and I think she puts that into action. And you're right, because anybody who's gone through minor or even major surgery, physical therapy, even if it's the more mundane physical therapy to the more grueling physical therapy, it's physical therapy nonetheless. And it's not even the structural recovery, it's the mental recovery. And this is where I look at strong-minded individuals that can handle that, and she strikes me as that.
Keegan wants to blow up Little Red.
No.
Why?
That's his idea for your
Little Red was
curse.
a big part of a big win for Nebraska women's basketball. So,
hold on. I know I'm one of the rare adults, or at least I act like one sometimes, that likes a Little Red.
I'm indifferent.
You want to break the curse. Get rid of that godforsaken Herbie right now. That thing is that.
But see, the curse existed before the new Herbie came.
That thing wouldn't be allowed on Pornhub.
You just want to get rid of that thing. Period.
Oh,
did you say you would be allowed on Pornhub?
Yeah.
It's not even a fetish for that one. That's when you know you're bad.
Throwing in a plug, 20% off subscription on Valentine's Day. True story.
It's the gift that keeps on giving all year.
That's what the Today Show just told me. Not me.
Spice up your
what
life.
My internet told me. All right, Jimmy's got an update.
There's your zone deal.
And then, I got an update for you all on the NHL coming to Omaha.
Oh. Did you send the email?
Jimmy's got an update coming up next.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. Things looking good out on the roads currently. No accidents, slow-moving traffic, or obstructions to report. Doesn't look like there should be any weather moving in throughout the day that'll impact visibility or driving, so no need to worry about that. Just worry about those long-term construction projects, and remember to always wear those seatbelts and stay safe, everybody. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
There's a lot more to love for a lot less at Saul's Jewelry and Loan. Now through Valentine's Day, get 50% off a huge selection of jewelry. Heart-shaped jewelry, gemstones, everything you need to show your love. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. It's the Celebration of Love sale with 50% off jewelry at Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
The Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Email me, Connor Happer, with the Connor Happer Show at Connor, CONNOR, at 1620thezone.com. Send me your love, your hate, and maybe a few hot takes. The Zone Inbox, presented by Equitable Bank.
When it comes to concrete repair, Everlevel has some serious game. Coach Greg McDermott here to coach you on why you should choose Everlevel Concrete Repair. They've got the fundamentals to fix your cracked and uneven concrete, and their products will give you the best defense against future damage. It's a fraction of the price compared to replacement, and their solutions come with a long-term transferable warranty. Working with Everlevel is a slam dunk. Call Everlevel Concrete Repair today for your free inspection.
Car repair is car repair. Most places you go can change your oil or fix your brakes. The difference is the experience you'll get at Omaha Car Care. We're part of the community. We were born here, and we believe that our relationship with you should be built to last. We're going to consult you, not sell you. We're going to give you a free loaner car. We're going to treat you like a valued friend that we want to continue to see in the years to come. I'm Rick Betker, owner of Omaha Car Care, and we'll be along for the ride.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Brakes? We can save you 15% on that.
We have OE quality Duralast brake pads and rotors in stock, ready for pickup or delivery. We also have calipers, brake fluid, tools, and anything else you'll need to do the job right. When you get Duralast pads and rotors together, you'll save 15%. It's just part of what makes us America's #1 brakes destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
It's Pro Time, Nebraska. The Omaha Supernovas, your Major League Volleyball team, have exploded onto the scene with record crowds and a fan experience that is second to none. Witness world-class talent downtown at the CHI Health Center, Omaha. Be there as the Supernovas take on Orlando on Sunday, February 18th at 5 p.m. Don't wait to be a part of history. Secure your tickets today at supernovas.com. That's supernovas.com.
Listen to the Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jay Shoot Around and Overtime shows, the Creighton men's basketball pregame and postgame shows on 1620 The Zone. The Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jay Shoot Around and Overtime shows are also presented by Union Bank and Trust. Hear the breakdown and coverage about your top-ranked Creighton men's basketball team before and after each game, exclusively on your home for the Creighton Blue Jays. 1620 The Zone, the 1620 The Zone mobile app, and 1620thezone.com.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
Put your coffee department in good hands with Host Coffee Service, providing direct delivery and loaned coffee equipment with service programs. If you're ready to change to a better coffee provider, it's time for Host Coffee.
Omaha's best coffee since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Nebraska women's basketball looks for a second straight upset of the number 2 team in the nation when they face Ohio State tonight in Columbus. The Buckeyes are 21-3 and 12-1 in the Big Ten. Tip-off is 6 o'clock. Baylor Shireman delivered the first triple-double in Creighton program history, featuring points, rebounds, and assists to lead Creighton to a 94-72 win over Georgetown last night at the Chi. Remember, great teams cover. He was honored in a pregame ceremony for eclipsing 2,000 career points. He had 15, 11, and 11 while reaching the milestone with more than 10 minutes remaining in the second half, prompting Nick Handley to check what else was going on last night around college basketball. And
thanks a lot. I had to watch the end of Wisconsin-Ohio State, which wasn't very good.
You honestly could have been better off just watching.
I mean, it's closer than the Georgetown-Creighton game, but
I'd have just hopped on the YouTube.
Wisconsin needs to hit some shots. They need to hit shots bad, and Ohio State's going to be looking for a new coach. That's what I took away from that game.
So, hey, if you want a job, they're hiring, or they will be.
Columbus and Ann Arbor.
Yeah. Jays are 18-7 of the season, 9-5. The Big East, they're at Hinkle Saturday morning at 11:30. Beware. Other college basketball stuff. People are talking about Indiana State and how they were ranked for the first time since Larry Bird led them to a national title game 45 years ago. Well, they promptly went out and lost to Illinois State 80-67. So much for that. And unfortunately for us, ESPN and the College Football Playoff have agreed to a 6-year deal worth $1.3 billion annually that allows the network to keep exclusive rights to the 12-team playoff through the 2031 season. The deal cannot be finalized until the CFP worked through some other outstanding issues, like how they're going to get nothing but SEC teams in the playoff format and make it just an SEC tournament. The playoff expands from 4 teams to 12 this season, with a pre-existing 12-year contract with ESPN that runs to the 25-26 season. The deal pays CFP $608 million for 7 games annually. All about money. The Royals intend to build their new downtown ballpark blocks away from the T-Mobile Center and the Power and Light District, scrapping 2 concepts elsewhere in the city for a location that puts the stadium closer to existing entertainment areas. This was unveiled yesterday. Yes, this is the big story in Kansas City this week. The Royals revealed plans for a $2 billion plus ballpark project Tuesday at Kauffman Stadium. Ironic. Kind of like saying that you're introducing your new wife at your old wife's place. Anyway, 2 days after the Chiefs, whose Arrowhead Stadium shares the Truman Complex with their existing ballpark, won the championship. The new ballpark, located downtown, will seat about 34,000 fans, roughly 3,000 fewer than the K, and the Royals are hopeful it will be ready for the 2028 season. The final design is still under development, but renderings shown Tuesday pay homage to the K's swooping roof lines and iconic center field fountains.
Yes.
I like the idea of a smaller stadium. Everybody's downsizing, not just Matt Damon's movie. But what do you say? The April of 28 is when they're intended. So they haven't bought any of the properties that they're going to have to remove.
Yeah.
So they don't really have the land yet. They just kind of have the site. The renderings look really, really cool.
Amazing.
I got excited.
It's it's also the renaissance of two things. One, downtown baseball, and the city of Kansas City. Now, I don't know what the perception is outside of this area about Kansas City, but what the Chiefs have done and what an idea like this can do, I got to believe that nationally, the opinion of the city of Kansas City has changed a bit. Because, I mean, we probably look at it different because we go there 3 hours away and we go there.
Yeah, we frequent it quite a bit.
But I don't know that Kansas City has ever been at the forefront. It's nice. It's in the Midwest. We get confused if it's in Kansas or Missouri.
Right.
But kudos to Kansas City. They've had the renaissance. It started with the streetcar. I kid. The plaza was the hot thing. Now it's still okay, but it's kind of a little bit older, and the power and lights taken off. So
Westport was
good
cool.
good on the Kansas City area with the Chiefs and what this could do to, just off of the cusp of the power and light district.
Yeah, and as someone who has gone to Kauffman many times, but is not an actual Royals fan, it's maybe I have a different perspective than what some of the diehard Royals fans have, or even really the Kansas City residents, with how the congestion might be an issue downtown and in that area and what that might look like. But I love power and light. I love that area. As I've gotten older, I don't frequent power and light as much or as long as I used to.
Or at night, more in the day.
Yes, more in the day. But all I can imagine is go
upstairs.
Yeah. At the PBR, the blazing pianos and all, like that. They got good stuff out there. But the other thing about the idea of going to power and light, being able to watch a ball game and just spill out into an entertainment district, as opposed to when I would go to Kauffman before and watch Cleveland play, then we'd had to get in our car. We'd have to drive, another 15, 20, 30 minutes, depending on traffic, basically into the city and kind of experience, more nightlife that way. I think, given my appreciation for that really cool area that they've built up, to be able to put a ballpark in there, hopefully you can make it work with a traffic standpoint too. I love it. And you're right. The renderings look awesome. Look amazing.
No crown vision though.
Yeah, they
for
need
the
that,
scoreboard.
that needs to be corrected.
Yeah, I think
they'll correct.
Why couldn't you put,
They'll
because
fix it.
the one that I saw, you've got the big scoreboard in the middle. Why couldn't you just add a crown to it?
I think they will.
Top it with a crown.
If 15 says I want a crown, he's going to get a crown.
So downtown baseball, are you either going to be the Colorado Rockies or the Minnesota Twins?
Yeah. And seriously, Colorado's that ballpark is beautiful, but
They lost 103 games last year, though.
Yeah, and that's
ballpark can only go so far.
Yeah, you got to start winning games, and that's a very good point.
This is kind of the interesting renaissance, though, of a downtown ballpark. I mean, we have a downtown ballpark in this town that is used for 20 dates of baseball a year, more than that. So a month of baseball, and we have another ballpark that is very fan friendly, that is out in the burbs. And just we seem to be taking our ballparks in cities to downtown minor league ballparks.
Oh yeah, Charlotte. I've been there.
Oh, Charlotte's
really nice.
ballpark is fabulous, and it's just a couple of blocks from where the Panthers play.
No, I've never been. I've always wanted to go to Durham. Is Durham's in the downtown area of Durham, North Carolina?
I do not know that.
Okay.
Don't know.
I've never been there, but that's one I've always wanted to go to.
I'm not sure.
You guys went to Indy. Was that one like
Indy
it too?
is right downtown.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hear this from people about Warner Park, and again, I love Warner Park. I think it is ideal for this community and for that organization. And they got the good plot of land out there, and it is a very, very fan friendly ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
But I hear more people now say, "Well, it's too far out there." I'm like,
it's not if you had
Bluff.
more retail around it.
That is absolutely true. I mean, out to Sarpy County, that's kind of the thing that when they're doing the soccer stadium, which ironically they is going to be an uphill climb in my opinion, but they want it downtown. Is people say, well, it's, our fan base, it's too far to drive out to Sarpy County, out to Highway 370. I just hear that a little bit more. I'm probably the wrong person to comment because I go out there, I do some stuff.
You're talking to too many people from Northwest Omaha.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'll listen.
I live there too.
It's a valid concern. There would be a drive.
Yeah.
But we're starting to see in this country, kind of post when they decided to put Warner Park out in Sarpy County, that there is a drive for more downtown ballparks.
Well, and I'll put it from this perspective. 45 years old, we have a child, and so going downtown for the sake of going downtown to go to a restaurant, or when we have our night away from our kid to, go to the bars and hang out with friends. Seldom are we doing that downtown. We're doing that wherever we're living, from the suburban area or whatever, because there's other places around there. So what I've always seen that makes so much sense with putting these ballparks down there too, if you've got an older audience, and again, though, an audience that has kids as well, this is their one time to not only go downtown, go to a ball game, but then chances are either before or after the game, you're going to frequent those businesses around there too. So you're going to make either a day or a night of it with those businesses around, as opposed to, you know what? Unless there's a ball game going on, I don't really want to go downtown. I'm older. I'm older now, so I'm not. The downtown scene doesn't attract me as much as it did. But if you give me a sporting event down there where I can sort of supplement that experience with also going to bars or going to restaurants downtown, then okay, now we're talking.
The bat phone has rang.
Hey, you're a downtown guy. I'm a suburban guy. I want you to just know that as we welcome in caller Marty.
Listener Marty.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I was interested in the fountain talk and the Crown Vision talk, and then you shifted. So look,
then we localized it.
Yeah, you did, which is great. Local sports guys. But look, I think the Royals. I think
that was
kind
of awkward.
Look, I think my opinion is the Royals have made a move that really is for the community, for moving that community forward. I'm as anxious to see what happens next to Arrowhead as I am to see what happens downtown.
Yeah.
Yep. That's long been that exit. That area has long been a challenge outside of game date or event date. There's really not much else that happens there. So we'll see if that
put some respect on the Drury Inn, please.
Yeah, the hotel. And isn't there like a Denny's?
And Denny's.
Yeah, no, thank you, no respect. But so I'm anxious about that. And then as far as downtown Kansas City, look, every other city that has downtown Major League Baseball in the country has figured it out. There's no reason that it's not going to be figured out there. And from a design perspective, I would assume this far out, those designs are probably 20-25% of what the facility is going to end up being. So yeah, Crown Vision, I'm with you. Let's see it. Let's see it.
Hey,
Let's see Crown Vision.
so that's not exactly why you entirely called, because I pushed a button here about Warner Park.
No buttons. I agree. Development needs to happen.
And you're one of the rare minor league ballparks that is out of a downtown, right?
Yeah. You look at Round Rock, you look at us. I mean, there are others that are like that. But for the most part, if you go back 92, 93, that's really when the focus, big leagues, and then 97, 98, focus minor leagues was more intimate, smaller. That was the first change. And then second was moving more towards your urban core.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I obviously for those that are here in market, it's either have Warner Park where it is, or you don't have AAA baseball here. You don't have pro baseball.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
that was a move. That was a move that was really predicated on what was the necessary move to keep professional baseball here. And Mark Wayne and a number of folks in Sarpy County still need to be given the credit that they were given to do that. Now, I'll talk out of the other side of my mouth. 15, 16, 17 was the plan for development in between Warner Park and Highway 370.
Mm-hmm.
It has happened all around from a residential perspective. I don't know the number, 4,000, 4,500 rooftops that are within a 10-mile radius of Warner Park since the ballpark opened. But development from an entertainment and mixed-use development has not happened. And it needs to happen. It absolutely needs to happen. Those conversations are ongoing. But those conversations, they need to turn into action. And that's not just for us, but that's for the continued build out of what 370. I continue to say 370 is becoming Maple. but it needs to happen a little more quickly from a density.
So a little clarification for people that don't know. That property right across the street from Werner Park is not owned by you guys.
No, it's not. It's a local developer, and it was in the hands of a previous developer. And there have been talks ongoing, on what can go there, what can be attracted there, and what the use is. Sarpy County stepped up about 3 years ago and put the infrastructure in from roads and sewer, water, street lights. All that's in, and it's ready. It's ready to go. And now there's been a number of conversations from an annexation perspective related to the city pavilion and what that build out would be like. A lot of people don't realize in the state of Nebraska, counties can't levy sales taxes.
Yeah.
So from a standpoint of retail and entertainment, it's not going to build out while it's in the hands of Sarpy County. So that's why there's some legal things related to annexation that need to happen first. And there's been a little bit of hold up there.
All right. Well, we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, March 29th will be here before you know it. But before that, there's a lot of good basketball. You got Omaha, Creighton, and Nebraska on both men's and women's side. It's exciting to see what's happening with our local basketball clubs right now.
Yep. Hey, thank you, my friend.
See you guys. Bye.
Marty Cordell. John writes in with where the new ballpark for the Royals is going to be located. Will there be parking for even the players of the stadium, or will they have to park at the park and go and ride the streetcar?
That would be cool.
So
you have a little streetcar entrance there.
There are
be a tradition.
26,000 parking spots between the K and Arrowhead. Not just a massive parking lot, but where they're going to put the ballpark, there will be 40,000 parking spots available.
That would be more, if I'm not mistaken.
Hey, I'm excited about it. I love where
it looks cool.
Located.
I think it looks great.
Ask yourself, will you go there more than one time? Will you just go because you got to go and you want to see the new place, or will you go and keep coming back?
No, I'll go.
That's the big thing. Now, the other part of it is the Royals have to put a quality team on the field, and with additional revenue, do you turn that revenue back into your ball club? There's
Right.
it can be a franchise changer.
The fact
With
that
a ball- with a
15 is
new-
involved,
yeah.
they'll do it right.
Yeah. That's what happens. I'm telling you, the city of Kansas City, they're on a renaissance. So that was not a planned call ahead of what I'm about to tell you about the NHL in Omaha.
It's just a listener calling in that wanted to talk ballpark.
So I don't know how much you guys follow, and there's a lot of people that have sworn off of following anything that comes out of Lincoln this time of the year in the unicameral.
Yeah. I guess I don't know if I've actually sworn it off. I just don't give a rip.
So the state of Nebraska has approved the first two, what they call good life districts. So they are areas that are eligible for a new state tax incentive designed to foster big and unique development. Okay. And the Nebraska Department of Economic Development signed off on them. One is going to be at 192nd and Dodge. This is going to be a city that will involve basketball. That's all I can say on that. Okay, so that's going to start to move. There's nothing there right now. 192nd and Dodge. There is a gigantic project that is probably, I don't want to speak out of turn here, but I think it's about 2 months away from being publicly announced.
And it's not a Whataburger.
I don't know. It's
apply
going to be an entertainment sports venue.
Okay.
But for all of our friends in Gretna, including Mayor Mike, who is not officially the mayor but should be the mayor because everybody knows Mike. We talked, what was it, 2 weeks ago when Gary Bettman was at the All-Star game and unsolicited, he said, "Hey, I got an email from Omaha."
Yeah, it was last Monday we talked about it.
He actually did get an email. This is real. So now it is a pipe dream, but there is going to start to build up here strong interest in NHL hockey in Omaha. Again, it's an uphill battle, but there are people that are lining up to try and make this a reality.
Have some conversation.
Again,
some Pop-Tarts.
It's going to be a challenge, but they are let's just say they're putting their ducks in order. Now,
I could walk
What
down
you
the
and I
street.
talked about is if you are an owner of an NHL team and you pay the big entry fee, you want to control a lot of your revenue. So
Right.
you're not downtown. That building cannot help you.
Right.
Okay. If you are an NHL team to Omaha.
Yep.
So while I bring up Gretna, the other Good Life district is right there off of I-80 where the outlet malls are. That area, that city is exploding. That area is about to just blow up. Okay.
Not literally, that'd be a
Now-
disaster.
Now, the idea is if the NHL to Omaha takes another step, and they're still in the early stages of figuring this out.
Mhm.
You guys be cool with a NHL-sized arena in Gretna, Nebraska? Because this is the thinking. If you are in the area where, I mean, the Good Life district for Gretna right there on 80 is 2,000 acres.
Mhm.
And you've already seen some of kind of the plans. Rod Yates is
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff like Gretna no longer is going to be this little bedroom community. Okay. That
IKEA.
area is just going to go boom. But the idea is if you were going to do this, you can't just do it with the city of Omaha and the population here.
I see what you're
But if
getting
you
at.
if you do this and you make it where you would like to have it, you now bring the city of Lincoln
Yeah,
into play.
'cause you're in between it.
Not the government and people like that, but the
Right.
people that live in Lincoln
Yeah.
who would think, "Oh my God, I got to drive all the way downtown."
It's more centrally
Instead,
located. Yep.
I could drive to the exit in Gretna
Yep.
off of 80, and
Makes
boy,
sense.
it doesn't seem that long.
Yep. That makes sense.
So again, there's something to this. It's early. It's way early, but there's some people that are interested in
Yeah.
seeing if this can happen. But if it does happen, that would be the area that would be in the discussion of right there off of 80
Well,
in Gretna.
and I figured
That's very cool.
when we talked about the
I like this segment.
the quote email, I think
No, the email was real. So
yeah.
So I
don't doubt that.
I now have met the person that.
Okay.
Oh, that's
has an
hilarious.
interest, so-
Well, and that's interesting, like what you kind of laid out there, because I think in talking to people since that report came out, as far as the email, I
It was
think people,
Otson, wasn't it?
well, yeah, people did. They made it sound like it was just like a fan that had a strong hocky interest in,
Yeah,
like,
no,
and they were just like, hey, what about us?
Little business acumen.
Absolutely, because I kept thinking about that when I was talking to some people about this, and they said, "Oh, I'm sure it was just somebody that, you know, it's kind of like one of those politicians that comes into a race like really late, and it's like a young like startup, you know, CEO that it doesn't realize what they're getting themselves into." And I said, "Well, you got to understand what the expansion fees have been for the last two additions to the NHL. To Vegas, it was $500, and I believe Seattle was like $650. So fast forward to whenever that would potentially ever take place for any team that's
Push
going
$1
to
billion.
expansion. Exactly.
Wow.
I mean, you're probably getting close to 8 to possibly $1 billion.
See, and you guys
So,
poo-pooed my Ash idea.
You're not getting mentioned by the commissioner of the National Hockey League unless someone presented, okay, an email, but an email that had some financial structure behind it of, yes,
It
we would be
matters.
interested, but this is how we would attempt to pull this off. Don't think of just like what you're saying. Don't think of just downtown Omaha and the Omaha population, but how you can involve the entire eastern side of the state.
Think bigger.
Then you're starting to, so that kind of makes sense. But I always thought that email was accompanied by a lot of financial structure because you're not even entertaining it or even mentioning it in any type of press briefing unless there was some type of, oh, well, at least that's interesting. And it may be nothing more than that from the NHL side and from Bettman's side of it. But to even get mentioned, it had to have a lot of substance to it, financial substance especially.
It's in the formative stages.
There are coyotes in
I
Nebraska.
appreciate that. I really appreciate that because it's like anything. If you want something so badly and you feel strongly, and you have people that have experience, like you said, business acumen, that have experience, and you think you could make it work, you present it, what's the worst they can tell you? No.
Their best friend will be the state of Nebraska. That's all I'm saying. All right, Blacksmith Dan says about the Kansas City Renaissance. The World Cup being in Kansas City in 2026.
Yep.
There's another part of the Renaissance. He said, don't let an NHL franchise use Omaha as a fake threat in order to gain more from another location. Has happened to Kansas City 3 times.
Shout out Kansas City.
Not the case. So, first and foremost, Salt Lake City is right near the top of an expansion franchise. I mean, do I think this could happen? No. Do I like the idea? Yeah. It's just
I like the thinking.
It's a long shot, but there are people that are like, you know what? Maybe it's not that much of a crazy idea that are going to try and for this. All right, Corey tweets at us about curses and what to do in the spring game. He's just going to cut right to it. He said, "I'll say it because no one else will. Dr. Tom is the curse. Until the state legalizes Mary Jane and mobile sports betting and sells booze in Memorial Stadium, Husker sports are stuck under his curse."
I can get behind all three.
R.I.P. Coach.
Okay,
well, not that part.
Yeah, that part no, but we evolve.
Welcome
sports evolves.
Welcome to a Valentine's Day show that
Tom
is
Osborne's
really,
dispensary.
really.
Well, it did start with the very unfortunate passing of the founder of the Pop-Tart. So that was the course that we were set on.
All right.
But positive thinking, butter on a Pop-Tart. I'm now tempted to try it. Nick, you're the healthy one of the show. You should go first.
I'm going to try it because we have some at home, and I'm very curious about this.
Matt DeMarinis from White Blue Review coming up at the top of the hour. I'm saving the show. Also, in an hour, we'll talk Nebraska baseball as the Huskers open up their season this weekend. Will it be a third straight June without baseball for Nebraska?
Wouldn't be good.
No, it would not.
Would not be good.
It would not be good. But it's a different makeup this year. They've got my attention. So we'll talk to Lance Harville coming up at about 8:30. Also, Brandon Vogel stops by. But Corey talking about selling booze. Nebraska baseball. Evan Bland had a story yesterday in the World Herald about Nebraska baseball. Maybe selling booze. Or just basically turning on the taps.
Turn the taps on because they already have the Salt Dogs game. It's very easy.
But
to
I
do.
got a better idea to do with Haymarket Park.
Oh.
And it does not involve sacrifice.
Does it involve a surface, a plain surface?
Oh, it involves a lot more than that.
Okay.
That's coming up next. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. All right, folks, coming up. If you're at the Creighton game last night, maybe Tickets for Less got you seats. You had the good discount. Use my promo code The Zone. You had a good time last night as you watched Creighton roll over Georgetown. Now you're all set. This weekend, you're going to go watch Omaha against South Dakota and South Dakota State and go see Nebraska take on Penn State. Well, how would you like to come back to the CHI Arena and watch two major matchups for Creighton towards the end of the season, UConn and Marquette? All you got to do is go to the website, ticketsforless.com/contest, and you got a shot at tickets to see either UConn or Marquette take on Creighton. Next Tuesday night, this place is going to be rocking, and you could be there courtesy of Tickets for Less. Don't miss out on your chance. No purchase necessary. Just sign up today to win. Go to ticketsforless.com/contest. Get in the game because, as you know, every seat holds a story. You can find your tickets at ticketsforless.com or that Tickets for Less app. Always use the promo code The Zone. But go there today, ticketsforless.com/contest. Sign up, and you could be seeing Creighton against UConn or Creighton against Marquette.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
An attorney over in Iowa named Van Plum is now requesting the state of Iowa.
Name.
Okay, I shouldn't. See, here's a serious story, and you guys are hung up on Van Plum.
That's a character in the board game Clue.
Van Plum did it in the office with a club stick.
What's a club stick?
I don't know. I couldn't think of anything.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Warming up on Valentine's Day Wednesday. Expect partly to mostly cloudy skies with southeast winds gusting 20 to 25 miles per hour. We'll stay dry through most of the day, though can't rule out a spotty shower, mainly after 8 p.m. in the metro. Highs in the mid-50s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center, we do have an accident reported I-680 southbound at Highway 133 exit 6. That is on the right shoulder. Proceed cautiously if you are heading into this area anytime soon. No other accidents or slow-moving traffic at this time. Things will probably pick up a little bit here in the next hour or so. Just remember to be safe and wear those seatbelts, everybody. I'm Peter Krunzer.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
Someone just won a beautiful new blue truck playing Trucks and Bucks 2023. So there is only one truck left. Better get to a Nebraska Lottery retailer, buy a ticket, and play today. Top prize odds, 1 in 336,000.
42 Degrees is showing you the love with sweet deals on Kratom and Delta products. Buy one, get one half off. 25% off CBD melatonin products. 30% off premium pre-rolls from Top Shelf, Buds Burn, and Tyson. Cube disposables, 4 for $20. And 42 Degrees gummies are way better than a box of chocolates. They're 20% off now through Valentine's Day at 42 Degrees. Your destination for top-tier cannabis, second-to-none product selection, and exceptional service. By your mom's house.
This is a sale so hot, Standard Heating and Air can only do it once a year. Right now, buy a Carrier air conditioner from Standard Heating and Air and get a free furnace. Now, that's a hot deal.
Where we do the things we do.
Carrier, turn to the experts. You can find pizza anywhere. But when you want pizza pie piled high with more toppings, that's when you come to my place, Godfather's Pizza. For a limited time, get your hands on 2 of my large one-topping pizzas. Pick pepperoni, beef, black olives, you choose. All this food for only $30. Feed your whole mob without breaking the bank. Hey, it's an offer you can't refuse. Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up spills quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading ordinary brand. So you can get back to your night. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
If you're a fan of Chicago, witness North America's #1 Chicago tribute band, Brass Transit. Brass Transit, February 17th at the Holland Center, featuring your Omaha Symphony. This one-night-only event features the 24-year-old tribute band performing classic Chicago songs like Saturday in the Park and You're the Inspiration. Get more info at omahasymphony.org. Tickets start at just $20 and they're going fast. Get yours today. Don't miss Brass Transit, February 17th at the Holland Center.
Velocity Clinical Research in Omaha frequently conducts clinical trials for a broad range of investigational treatments. Typical studies involve medications for acne, allergies, chronic diseases, depression, and others. They also perform vaccine studies for people of all ages, conducting innovative research that has a positive impact on lives. Click for current trials at velocityclinicaltrials.com. More trials are launching in March. Compensation for study-related time and travel. Find out more at velocityclinicaltrials.com.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, what do you think is Ben Affleck's best acting job?
Sunday Night.
You know what? I was thinking that.
It was pretty funny. Especially involving J-Lo, because I feel like everything with him and J-Lo lately has always been like pictures or footage of where they look like they just, or he is so miserable. And again, it's
that whole Geely thing that's still lingers all these years later.
It's like, hey, you guys got back together though. But yeah, I mean, I'm always partial to the town. But the town was pretty damn good.
I think Argo.
Argo was also
Argo in the Town.
Yeah, Argo was also very good.
Gone Girl was pretty good.
Good movie.
Gone Baby Gone.
I never saw that one.
And then I thought he was pretty good in Air.
Yes, he was. Yeah,
but his Dunkin's commercial
Sunday night,
Dun Kings, and they released the 4-minute commercial yesterday, and the tracksuits have sold out.
Yeah, I'm sure they have.
Man, Ben Affleck, that might knock either Argo or The Town off the top spot of his best acting. That commercial was really, really good.
It was good.
If you get a chance to watch the extended, it's funny, man. Tom Brady is funny. I think Tom Brady's going to be okay in the booth if he lets his personality go.
Yeah.
And then Matt Damon plays a great,
like, come on, am I really doing this?
Remember
when I said I'd do anything for you? This is anything.
Yeah, man, I'm vibing. Now I'm not gonna get a tracksuit. I don't ever see myself wearing a full tracksuit. Like you hang out with basketball teams and
Yeah.
they get you a tracksuit, but the crotch hangs down to your knees because you're not 6'5".
Well, and usually
I'm not wearing the tracksuit.
Well, they got to do that too because usually you want the shorts underneath. You want to be able to wear the shorts underneath too, so they got to make it like a little roomy in the crotchal region.
But I just don't like. I'm not going to be Maurice Seinfeld. I'm not going to be wearing the tracksuit when I retire and I move to.
What is that? Velvet?
Yeah. All right. Coming up at the top of the hour, Matt DeMarinis from White Blue Review will join us. Creighton throttled Georgetown last night. The Big East, which I got some bubble teams. There are a couple of good games tonight, but Marquette and UConn play on Saturday. Well, Creighton plays an interesting game at Butler. Butler last night, they challenged Marquette, but they don't have Tyler Kolek, who is going to, again, be the player of the year in the Big East. But Butler and then UConn. So we'll get into a lot with Matt coming up at the top of the hour. And we'll talk some Nebraska baseball within the hour. Lance Harbaugh will join us. Nebraska goes to Arlington this weekend. We had Evan Porter and Ed Service on yesterday. But yesterday something was announced that possibly, really not a surprise, that beer could be available while you're watching the Huskers play at Haymarket Park. Isn't this the evolution of, we've had this discussion about beer at Memorial Stadium, Pinnacle Bank Arena, even Haymarket Park for years.
Mm-hmm.
And it still hasn't happened in Memorial Stadium outside of a couple of events, but it is at PBA. This is going to happen at Haymarket Park. I don't think beer at a Nebraska athletic event is no longer newsworthy.
It's not, because it's coming. If it hasn't already arrived, like Pinnacle Bank Arena, you knew baseball. And we even talked about this when they made the announcement for the Big Ten wrestling tournament at Pinnacle Bank Arena that this was going to be kind of like the test run for it. We knew that, it made sense that once that goes through fine, which we knew it would, that baseball would probably be next because it makes sense. They already, as you mentioned, they already have the taps for the Lincoln Salt Dogs. They have beer at those games. So all you essentially have to do is turn on the taps, have the kegs ready, and you're good to go. It's not like this major overhaul of you got to rearrange certain things to make it viable. I mean, you already have that in place.
But I also think a little bit of that. But I also think it's not a big deal. Like if you've, I don't know if you've been to a Husker game at Pinnacle Bank Arena since they've had the taps open. It's not. You don't see people double fisting.
Right.
It's not really
expensive.
I mean, I like to drink beer. I've maybe had 2 beers since they've had beer available at Pinnacle Bank Arena. It's not like it's a big deal or where people are overserved.
Mm-hmm.
Just like we don't, we had dollar beer. We had dollar beer night last night. You don't ever really hear any incidents at the Chai.
No.
Okay. So there's been no incidences. People aren't like, oh my God, I'm sitting next to a guy and he just hammered. He's just pouring 6-7 beers down his throat.
That's an NFL game.
So I don't think it's we there was like, oh my God, you can't do that. It's been seamless. The only debauchery you've had with selling beer at a Nebraska venue is the Garth Brooks concert.
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense.
And yeah, that many people there too.
So it's not. It'd be cool to have that option if you go to a ball game, because especially baseball, you're sitting outside.
Yep.
If you want to have a beer, have a beer. But I think it kind of got overblown that it's just going to be, Bill Moose is talking about, people from the third row throwing beer on the field and all, whatever he said. I can't even remember anymore.
Yeah.
So cool option. I don't think it's like, oh my God, I can't. No, because people know how to handle themselves.
Exactly. You treat adults and expect them to make adult decisions.
Now, the other part of Haymarket Park, I brought this up before. Nebraska needs to buy Haymarket Park.
Agreed.
Haymarket Park, and I'm looking at what they're doing in Iowa City, and I mean, Iowa baseball has surpassed Nebraska baseball. It has. It has in the Big Ten. It has. They're a better program than Nebraska. You got to live with that right now.
Yep.
Doesn't mean it's going to stay that way, but you got to live with that. Rick Heller, what he's done in Iowa City.
Mm-hmm. Rick Heller's a hell of a coach.
They're getting improvements. I look at Haymarket Park. Haymarket Park looks 20 plus years old.
It does.
They've tried, but it just looks old. Now, it's still a nice facility for a college baseball program, but it's old. And, the Lincoln Salt Dogs are the quote unquote main tenant, I guess the way you would describe it. Now, I know they share it, but they're there more than Nebraska is in terms of on the field. I think I'm pretty sure on that.
You're probably about right. As far as
play,
because they start in
50,
May,
50 home games.
Yeah, that's about right.
But the place is old. I don't know what you have to go through to make some improvements. Will wanted all turf. Salt Dog said not a chance. But they got to do well. Will and his staff are working on the back end on the product on the field. Man, they got to do something with Haymarket Park. It's nice to drive by on the interstate and look down and go, man, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then you walk in the gate and you're like, whoa, this place looks 20 years
It's dated.
old. When it opened, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was one of the nicest ballparks in the country.
But like in the last 5 years, it's really started to show its age, and it needs to be upgraded. And I don't know who kickstarts the upgrade. Does that mean Nebraska buys it from the city and the Salt Dogs become a tenant? I mean, like Nebraska's the landlord, but they got to do something with that ballpark. That ballpark is old. They're doing across the sidewalk at Bowlin Stadium. They keep upgrading that. But they got to do something where Nebraska baseball is at.
Well, and they've done some cosmetic things to it over the last 5 years. Like, okay, you've gotten a new scoreboard. You put in the party deck out there in right center field. Those were all, I think, things to sort of like bridge or maybe buy some time. What I always assumed or hoped maybe was going to be a bigger upgrade. And you know this as well as I do. When we are in the position that we are in, we find ourselves checking out the press facilities as well. And look, I know that doesn't always move the needle for the common fan, but if you are trying to carry the flag of the one school in the Big Ten that takes baseball more serious than anybody, all of those, to me, all those details matter. Your incoming press, your out-of-town press that are coming in to cover events, cover games, they're going to be comparing that to when they were at State College.
So not everybody's been in the press box. Tell everybody what's wrong with the press box.
Oh, it's old. You have basically dividers in between the home and the radio booth, as opposed to actual like a dry wall.
You do have obstructed view seating for the print media.
Yes, you do. Yeah, you have that going on over on towards the right side of the press box, and then you still do like it's their way of like having another suite, like you combine the press box to a suite, because then when you step out of your cubicle, is what I'd like to call it, you have fans that are in there and there's like a little concession area for those fans. So it's like you're in a suite. It's a very odd setup. And again, a lot of like the countertops and stuff, again, small details, but it's the original, like they haven't had any type of upgrades when it comes to that. If you step on the carpet, even again, I know you're like, I don't care about that. It shows. It just shows. It's like
suites are a little bit outdated.
Yes, they are. And it's one of those things where, and this is a baseball thing too. I know Will would probably agree with this, and I know Ed would agree with this. I know Evan would agree with this. It's the same thing when you show up to a ballpark and you have your uniform on, everything that you're going to wear in the game, other than maybe the jersey because you got like a hitting coat on, and you might have turf shoes as opposed to cleats. But you present yourself in a way that you take yourself serious and you're going to take your product serious, and it's going to happen on the field. Right now, the look of Haymarket Park, it doesn't look like it is a baseball program that takes it as serious as everybody else in the Big Ten. All those little things that I described. But then you get out into the stands too, like those seats are worn. I mean, a lot of the structure of it is worn down. It's old because it was the best, best in the Midwest, one of the best ballparks in the country when it opened, but they haven't done anything major to it other than a couple cosmetic things.
Yeah, I don't know the whole logistics of who pays for what and who can initiate change. The Salt Dogs have a big say, of course, and the people that were behind building the stadium were involved with the Salt Dogs with Jim Abel, and Charlie Meyer and his staff. They do a great job what they do with the Salt Dogs, but the place looks worn, and there's a lot of exciting things that I know have been brought up. When the program went to Arkansas and they saw what they have in left field, they were like, man, we'd love to have that. We'd love to have something like that. But I don't think you can just come up with an idea and then let's get some funding and boom, it happens. You got to go through a lot of red tape.
Yeah, because I know there are a lot of people that are behind the baseball program that are donors that you could probably get some help. But exactly where does that start? What's the red tape that you have to go through? And I will say this, as much as the structural part of Haymarket Park is dated, I will give a lot of credit to turf maintenance there. They do a hell of a job. They do a fantastic job.
Field?
Yeah, well, there's that. That unfortunately, I don't think
hasn't worked for what, like 10, 12 years?
Yeah. It was always talked about like, oh yeah, well they have that underground heating system, which is really cool. And it's very like high tech. It's like, yeah, but it hasn't worked for a long time. But I will give those guys a lot of credit as far as the way that they maintain that field, that they do a fantastic job with that. So you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about the surface as much, especially if you didn't have to worry about grass, period. But for the grass they have to work with, those guys do a hell of a job. I will give them all the credit in the world on that. It's just the structure, because you mentioned something that if you're driving by, you're going down on the highway, you're making your way, either go left to Memorial Stadium, and then you kind of over your right, you see Haymarket Park. That's when Haymarket looks its best. When you're looking sort of down into it, and you're like, man, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
But then like you said, once you get in there, you're like,
you
look better on the highway.
You stand on the 6th floor of Memorial Stadium and look out the window from the press area,
Looks nice.
and you look right into Haymarket Park, and you're like, wow,
That's cool.
Where they built that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But it just, you walk in the gates and it feels 2 decades old,
Mhm.
with just a new paint job here, but just it's just screams old.
It does.
And then think about this. You've got that facility, which just with a couple of upgrades continues to keep it as a really nice home. You got Omaha that built Tal Anderson.
It's gorgeous.
Ideal for their program. Creighton is going to build a baseball stadium / softball complex that is ideal for their program.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both places that will look new.
Yeah.
One looks new. What Tal Anderson is 4 years old now?
Yeah. This will be the 4th year.
And then you have whatever Creighton is going to do. And then you go to Haymarket Park and you're like, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when you've been around some of the Big Ten venues too, smaller capacity, but again, you build what's perfect for your fan base, for your program. Like Seabird out at Minneapolis is a cool little setup, tight for the media quarters, but it's a cool setup there. I've said it a lot. I'm really impressed with State College. Now, from what I hear, the field conditions aren't the best, but the overall structure of that place that they share with high A ball, or it's either a rookie ball or high A ball. That's a really cool venue to watch a ball game. So there are places actually in the Big Ten that are upgrading to, like Northwestern, what they just did to theirs. Again, they don't get a lot of people to watch their games, but their facility itself is upgrading. Oh yeah,
They'll be worse than they were last year.
Yeah.
All right, Lance Harbaugh. We will not pose those questions to him. But Lance,
he needs to answer these questions.
He's coming up at 8:30. Matt DeMarinis from White Blue Review will join us here shortly on Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Jimmy, 1620 The Zone. Hey, whether your ballpark looks great or not, how about your home life? I know it's all about sports. Maybe at home you don't have as much energy. What's going on? Maybe you got some weight gain or muscle loss. You're fatigued. You're tired all the time. You got a little anxious. You're moody. You're irritable. And people are going, man, Chuck, what's wrong with you? And you're like, man, I don't know. Well, Chuck, I'm here to help you and everybody else out there that's not named Chuck. My good friends at Mentality, they can take care of you with their FDA-approved testosterone treatment. They got board-certified physicians who will help you figure out the symptoms of low T and get you back to feeling like you have that energy and that drive so that you can keep up with your kids. You can keep up with life. You know what? Stop and get a first exam. On your first visit, they're going to give you a complete physical exam, consultation, complete blood panel, and results. So you want to be the best for your family and yourself? Let Mentality help you today. For more information and locations, go to their website, lowtusa.com.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. Big names, big games. We've got them all. 1620 The Zone.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
Since 1972, family-owned and locally roasted Host Coffee Service has been roasting the finest coffee for businesses and restaurants. If you're ready to change to a better coffee provider, it's time for Host Coffee.
Omaha's best coffee since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up! and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of consumer cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
It's pro time, Nebraska. The Omaha Supernovas, your Major League Volleyball team, have exploded onto the scene with record crowds and a fan experience that is second to none. Witness world-class talent downtown at the CHI Health Center, Omaha. Be there as the Supernovas take on Orlando on Sunday, February 18th at 5 p.m. Don't wait to be a part of history. Secure your tickets today at supernovas.com. That's supernovas.com.
Omaha native Frankie Fiddler is top 20 in the NCAA Division I scoring and leading the Omaha Maverick men's basketball team in a run for the conference title. The Maverick men are at home against South Dakota on Thursday and South Dakota State on Saturday. And Maverick hockey only has 4 regular season home games left on February 23rd and 24th when they take on Colorado College in a top 20 matchup. Let's pack the Baxter. Get your tickets now. Call the box office at 402-554-MAVS or omavs.com/tigs.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply. Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's corporate cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
1620 The Zone at 1620thezone.com. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, nothing says baseball right around the corner. No, not pitchers and catchers reporting, but video of Will Clark hitting in his garage.
Talk about baseball.
The
porn.
sweet swinger from
Yeah.
Mississippi State,
Yeah.
longtime San Francisco Giant. But if you see the video of him taking some swings, and he still has that sweet swing.
Still got it.
Still see him wearing number 22.
Yeah.
I couldn't get my eyes away from, in his garage, Will Clark is a Buick LeSabre guy.
Oh, okay.
That was the vehicle that he was hitting next to, and I'm like,
you know what?
Okay.
That sounds right for Will Clark. Kind of an unassuming
You know
guy.
what?
Probably some fine luxuries
Hey.
inside that car, but
Strikes me as a mid-level full
Yeah.
sedan guy.
yeah. He's got all the comforts he needs inside that car, but nothing too flashy when he pulls up.
Here is Charlie on our discussion about Haymarket Park. Good morning, Charlie. Charlie? Oh, Charlie, call back. Because Charlie wanted to discuss.
Yeah.
I think he's a big fan of Haymarket Park. Now, to Nick and I were talking off air. Haymarket Park is okay.
Mhm.
Nobody's going to say, well, I'm never going there. And it doesn't need to be torn down.
It's not a dump.
Ridiculous. You're not building a brand new ballpark.
No.
You have a serviceable ballpark. It needs to be more than just okay.
Yep.
Because when it opened, it was definitely more than just okay. The wraparound concourse, just amenities that you didn't have. God bless.
Well, and you
Belcher
were
Field.
coming from the Buck, so a lot of things are going to look a lot nicer.
But it has to be more than just okay.
Yeah.
For the city of Lincoln, for the university, for the fans that go there.
I always thought when Nebraska joined the Big Ten, when it came to baseball, it was going to elevate the Big Ten's baseball resume because Nebraska, we knew, took baseball serious. They're coming from the Big 12 where they take baseball extremely serious, and they had a ballpark that rivaled a lot of the Big 12 ballparks at the time. What we've seen since is, it's elevated, I think, everyone's interest in the conference when it comes to their baseball product, and you've seen action behind that. You've seen Minnesota elevate their facilities. You've seen Northwestern elevate their facilities. Iowa's going to elevate their facilities. Rutgers, you need to do something. But there are a handful of ballparks right now in the Big Ten that I would say, they like I was telling you, Illinois needs to do something. Rutgers needs to do something. Maryland, which is surprisingly as good as they are, Maryland's bad. Like that ballpark is really bad. So there are still some facilities that are still way behind. But for the most part, you're seeing a lot of Big Ten facilities, what works for them and for what they need from their fan base to their student athletes, they're doing it. And so no longer is Nebraska sort of the gold standard when it comes to facilities. I was telling you this, my impression would be if you polled any of the other Big Ten schools that have traveled to Haymarket Park, they would probably say this. They'd probably say, yeah, it looks great from outside, and it's okay. Maybe thought it'd be a little bit better. It's okay. I don't think you're going to say anything more like, oh my gosh, it's unless maybe you're a player and say, man, the field conditions were A+, because I would anticipate that's probably the player's experience. But as far as the out-of-town visitors and the out-of-town media and guys like that, I think they would probably say, yeah, it's not bad. And you're right. Is that the impression you want for that ballpark when it was really the height of conversation when it first opened? Just nothing really has been done to it.
Yeah, and the 4 teams that are going to join next year, Washington has a really nice ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon has
nice.
a nice ballpark. I mean, Jackie Robinson Field is unique.
Mm-hmm.
And then USC, which they're not playing in their home ballpark, at least to begin the year, because they are redoing Rod Dedeaux Field.
Yep.
So it's not just used by USC football for practice like the old Buck Belcher. Like they're putting a lot of money into their baseball facility out in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Matt DeMarinis will join us next from White Blue Review. Last night, Creighton rolled Georgetown. Now they go to Butler. They still got UConn. They still got Marquette at home. And they still have to navigate the Big East, where I would say about 6 teams are fighting every night to get off that bubble. But a good win last night by the Jays. And, of course, triple-double by Baylor Shireman. So we'll pick Matt's brain on that and much more when he joins us next on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. The earlier accident, I-680 southbound, just before Fort Street exit 5, still impacting the right shoulder and has traffic backed up to Highway 133 exit 6. And we have some heavy traffic Dodge eastbound starting about 180th all the way up to 90th, as well as JFK northbound between Q and F streets. Things also moving a little slow I-80 westbound between 42nd and 60th. Please stay safe and wear those seatbelts, everybody. I'm Peter Krenzer.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by IBEW Local 22.
The electrical market requires your company to adjust to an ever-changing field. IBEW Local 22 gives you flexibility with access to journeymen, apprentices, and proven training programs. Call Bob at IBEW Local 22 for details at 402-980-7596.
You can find pizza anywhere. But when you want pizza pie piled high with more toppings, that's when you come to my place, Godfather's Pizza. For a limited time, get your hands on 2 of my large one-topping pizzas. Pick pepperoni, beef, black olives, you choose. All this food for only $30. Feed your whole mob without breaking the bank. Hey, it's an offer you can't refuse. Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
Jordan B. Peterson, We Who Wrestle with God Tour.
If you say the truth and nothing else, you'll have an immense adventure as a consequence. You won't know what's going to happen to you, but the truth will reveal the world the way it's intended to be revealed, and the consequence for you will be that you'll have the adventure of your life.
Jordan B. Peterson, live at CHI Health Center, February 22nd. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com.
When you wake up well-rested on a great mattress, everything becomes clear.
That meeting could have been an email.
Things you missed when you were tired finally reveal themselves.
Look at all the things my neck can do now.
At Mattress Firm, we know the right mattress matters. That's why we give you 120 nights to make sure it's right for you, or your money back. Plus, you get free and fast delivery. Shop in-store or online at mattressfirm.com. The right mattress matters. We'll find yours. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
News Talk 1290 Coil is the home of Omaha Maverick women's basketball all season long. Don't miss any of the Maverick action as they try to make their mark on the Summit Leaf this season. Omaha Mavericks women's basketball is on News Talk 1290 Coil.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
Brakes? We can save you 15% on that. We have OE quality Duralast brake pads and rotors in stock, ready for pickup or delivery. We also have calipers, brake fluid, tools, and anything else you'll need to do the job right. When you get Duralast pads and rotors together, you'll save 15%. It's just part of what makes us America's #1 brakes destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, win by Creighton last night over Georgetown that you heard here on the Zone. And if you have listened to the post-game podcast, that was a pretty easy one to do last night after Creighton blows out Georgetown. We welcome in Matt DeMarinis, our Wednesday friend from White Blue Review. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. How's it going?
Good. Hey, before we kind of break down some of the moments of last night, how close do you think, and we're still a good month out, how close do you think the Big East Player of the Year voting will be, and who would be your top 3 candidates right now?
Wow. I think it's going to be really close, first of all. Because I don't think there's unless you just start to obey the rules of, the old-fashioned rules of best player, best team, I think it's really hard to pick who you think has had the biggest impact from an individual standpoint on the season. And I feel like the top 3 right now have to be, for me, it's like Tristan Newton from UConn. I just think he's held that team together throughout the duration of the season, even when Stephon Castle was hurt, when Donovan Clingan was hurt, they just haven't really had much slippage, I think he's the front runner for me because of that until further notice. But you see Tyler Kolek really coming on strong right now. You see Baylor Shireman, the way he's playing down the stretch. I could see either of those guys, really, really getting over the hump and taking it over this last month here, because they're all going head to head now, essentially. Marquette and UConn are going to play twice after, starting this weekend in the regular season, and UConn or Marquette and Creighton has both of those teams in their own gym coming up here. So yeah, that's the fun part, I guess, is it's going to be decided kind of on the floor. So it might make the decision easier for us outside observers. Right now, it feels like it's really close, but I would give Newton the edge based on his body of work right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you named the 3 that I think most people would pick if they're picking a top 3 right now too. And speaking of Baylor, look, we know that the triple-double, the traditional triple-double with the assist element of it is awesome. But this maybe the bigger surprise is we haven't seen him do it earlier. And that's not a knock on him. It's just the way his game has been elevated from last year to this year as far as what he, as a good player, as a great player, continues to just kind of stay that course. So when you look at what he does there, what do you take away from that? I mean, is it just another thing to kind of add to Baylor's season that has just been fantastic?
I mean, it's kind of funny how speechless you sounded throughout that question. That's kind of what it's like watching Baylor,
Right.
I mean, because the funny part about last night was, not only did he do that with plenty of time to spare,
right.
He wasn't really, I don't think he would say that was his best performance. That's the wild part.
Had a rough first half.
Yeah, he didn't shoot the ball well, and I know he, can impact the game in multiple ways, but that doesn't mean he doesn't get frustrated with when a certain aspect of it isn't up to snuff. And I mean, he missed that 3 at the end of the first half, which, I mean, he didn't really have a chance to go in. It was kind of a broken play, and he was just trying to get it up before the buzzer, and it wasn't even close.
Right.
And I mean, I was all the way up in the 6th floor hockey press box, and I can hear him scream the F word from all the way up there. Like he was really, really frustrated with himself, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, he never let that, like, but it was just momentary frustration, and he never let it bleed into any other facet of his game. And I think that's like the mastery of Baylor Shireman, is that he just is one play at a time, impact it however way he can. And no matter if one part of it isn't going well, there's still an accumulation of a positive effect happening out there on the floor. And you know, I think the wild part about last night is that we haven't seen one. You know, I mean, the last time it happened, I wasn't even alive at all, and it's never happened in general. And I think that kind of speaks to how special Baylor's been, is that we've seen a lot of really talented players, a lot of really multifaceted players play in that uniform, and none of them have done what he's done. And then you factor in the component of, you know, he was honored last night for being the first men's player to ever do something in the history of the entire game. And now, I mean, that's the 3rd time he's gotten a commemorative ball this year. The next time they play at home, he's probably going to get a 4th one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know how much better you can sum up his career other than the fact that he's had 4 moments prior to games where he's been handed a commemorative ball for doing something, achieving a milestone either that, you know, is important for a college basketball player or something that no one's ever done. So, yeah, I mean, it kind of speaks for itself.
Hey, what do you think if you got a bird's eye view and you could look at team scouting reports in the Big East? What do you think their scouting report says on how to handle Ryan Kalkbrenner offensively and defensively?
Well, whatever Georgetown said how to handle him defensively last night, it was ridiculous. Like they were just hell bent on kind of, I don't know, going right into his strengths, honestly, like going right at him, not really being patient. They just kind of went full speed ahead at him. And that plays into how good he is, because he's really good off the floor. He doesn't jump too early or too late. And he's just incredibly long and hard to score over. Like, I thought Georgetown, even when the game was tight, those first, I guess, what was it, 6-7 minutes or so, I thought Georgetown was playing like not intelligent basketball. I think Ed Cooley mentioned that to a degree in the post game. You know, he just didn't think they were very smart off the bounce. Like every time they stopped their dribble, they basically went up for a shot, which is like, that's not how you beat Creighton's defense. That's how you play into their transition offense. So I don't really know. I think defensively, I think you would probably want to get him away from the rim and moving kind of, you know, east-west, more north-south, you know. That's probably the way you do it, because you have to be a little bit crafty. You have to keep your dribble alive as much as possible. You have to make passes around him. You can't just go straight at him. And then offensively, I don't know. Like, you got to stay tagged to him, because he's really good at getting over the top of guys, and you know, he has good touch when he gets the ball, you know, in high point situations, kind of like a jump ball in a wide receiver situation, you know. But the other thing is, like, I think Creighton's guards have done a really good job of playing off his gravity and scoring at the rim themselves when teams are, you know, staying too attached to Kalkbrenner. So I don't really know offensively how you defend that, because if Creighton's guards are finishing and you know, attacking the angle they should be attacking, that's a tough cover. Defensively, there's ways around it, but Georgetown was not executing that nearly to the level they needed to, so it really got ugly. I think they were 13 of 31 inside the paint, essentially, which is insane to be that inefficient inside the paint, because that's usually where you want to get, but that's the Ryan Kalkbrenner effect.
And Matt, I brought this up after the loss to Providence, of where Duro had his way in that game, but was also really taking it to Ryan Kalkbrenner. We discussed this, Gary and I did, on Monday. Maybe the biggest takeaway from what was just a fantastic win, maybe the best win for Creighton over Xavier and winning at the Cintas Center, was the way that Kalkbrenner seemed to respond. And so I think we've seen teams that have understood that they're going to probably get turned away at the rim, but if they keep kind of trying to body him on the block and trying to get him in some awkward positions, that's where they're going to have success. I don't know. I thought that something about that Providence game, it seemed to, and last night maybe is a bad test because you're not being challenged as much. But his response against Xavier, I think, was pretty solid.
No question about it. I mean, he dominated that Xavier game. I mean, everything started to snowball on Xavier as soon as Kaufman got involved. And the Providence game, I think that just kind of speaks to the nature of college basketball. Is just sometimes it's just not your night, and sometimes you're going to lose your matchup. And even within the game, you're going to probably lose more matchups than you win sometimes. And that's just kind of the way it goes. But I think that's the thing about this Creighton team that probably speaks to its ability to, if you're trying to forecast their chances of making a run, it's kind of their ability to respond to situations, within a game or game to game.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think Baylor Shireman's performance last night is a good example. Like, he didn't shoot the ball well, and he made history. Like, no one's going to remember that he shot 2 for 9 from 3, unless you're just like a true, like psychotic historian, right? But he played well. Like, it was, a historic game, but he didn't shoot the ball well, and you're not going to remember that he was frustrated. Ryan Kaufman from game to game, you're not going to remember, I mean, I think it's funny because Josh Adora had 32 against Kaufman in the second matchup, right? But,
First matchup was
it was 4 for 17 in the first matchup. So put the two together, he's 16 for 41 shooting the ball against Creighton. The first that's below big man averages, right, for percentages and efficiency.
Yeah.
But 32 was so loud that it kind of sticks in your mind that you forget the other one. So I think that's it just happens sometimes. You lose matchups. You got to make the most of it because it's not always you don't always have your A game, so you got to kind of figure it out along the way. And I think that's what this team has done a really good job of, is figuring things out when they don't have their A game and trying to make it, giving themselves a chance to win when matchups are going one way or the other.
Hey, we like Ed Cooley around here. I think he's always been very respectful of Creighton, the fans, his teams. When at Providence, they come in here and they compete. And he's one of the good guys in a business where you don't necessarily run into great individuals day after day. But Ed Cooley is one of those A+ guys, except for the people in Providence, but that's their issue. So him and Mac have been friends forever. They do a lot of stuff together. They really, really appreciate how they go about their business. What was your read on this? Because I brought this up at the beginning, Matt, because I thought this was curious. And Ed was very complimentary of Creighton last night. He's going through it with that team because that team isn't very good right now at 1-12.
Right.
But he said they played really, really well today, talking about Creighton. You guys got a hell of a coach. I hope you all appreciate him.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think he meant by that?
Yeah, man, that was kind of a odd way to end that, because you're talking to us in the media room, right, the press conference room, but I don't think anybody in that room was where that message was meant, I guess, because I don't think any of us treat Mac unfairly or put unnecessary heat on him. I think we all do a fair job, to be honest. Like, I think, I don't think that message was meant for anybody in the media around here. I think it was meant more for the fan base. I mean, not the fan base, but part of the fan base that kind of gets on, that kind of latches on to losses and thinks the sky is falling. And I don't know. I think it's tied a little bit to the football mentality of this state, because every week is so important that when you lose one game, it lingers forever. Basketball's kind of different, but I think this state kind of ties itself to that kind of energy. And when a basketball team loses a game, whether it's Creighton or Nebraska, it feels like the end of the world, even though it's not. And then the other part of it is too, like, it's probably, the contract situation last year and the kind of the angst around whether that would get worked out and, what things might be like behind the scenes, with a new administration coming in, replacing Rass's administration that was there forever and kind of was a staple of Creighton in the community. I don't know what Cooley's referring to necessarily there, but if that's the main part of his message. But I think, certain aspects of it are probably, some of it's probably coming from the fact that he was at Providence for a long time and made a decision, and now he's kind of like public enemy number one at a place that he felt like
I could see that.
he should be revered for a long time.
That's
And
a
maybe
good
he
point.
sees some of that. Maybe he sees some of that coming with Mac a little bit because, we just get used to it for so long that we stop, appreciating what's been built here. So I think it might be some of his situation bleeding into it, and then some of, Mac's situation with a new regime, because Ed Cooley went through the same thing with a new AD and new administration, replacing his old AD as well. So I don't know if he sees some similarities there, and that was what part of his message was, but it definitely was an odd thing to say that in the presser. We weren't really expecting that.
Hey, on Trey's night last night, you get a very efficient shooter beyond the arc. And this goes back to Trey last year when he was over 40% beyond the arc. It's been a little bit more of a struggle just from that aspect. I get it. It's Georgetown, Matt. Is that a game, though, that all of a sudden, if you start to look at Creighton trying to kind of even take it to that next level, like what if Trey can, I'm not saying he goes 6 for 8 every night, but if he starts getting himself around that 40%, 42% clip, that changes things, doesn't it?
I think so, because it just, you look at the way Trey's being defended right now, they're trying to make him play over the top more because they know how comfortable he is, getting to the rim and playmaking once he gets into the teeth of the defense and getting to his mid-range. Yep. So I think if he becomes a guy who you can't go under screens as much as you normally would, I guess, to stay attached to the roll man and pick and rolls and things like that, and just make him shoot over the top and not facilitate for others by getting downhill. Like, that's big. And I think, while you're right, 6 for 8 is unrealistic for, anybody to go game to game basis. Like, I think he's hit multiple threes now, in maybe 5 of his last 6 or 6 of his last 7. I think he missed, I don't think he had any threes against St. John's or UConn, but since then, I think the only game where he didn't hit a 3 was Xavier. And his playmaking was, really high level in that game. So, I think it's a big component to get that 3 ball back and to make it a consistent threat. If you're knocking down multiple threes a game like he is right now, you have to respect that. And I think that's going to open up parts of his own game. And then with the way he is able to make plays for others, last night he was, 5 assists, 2 turnovers again, I think. And after that was after going 6 and 2 against Xavier. So, his playmaking's there. And if he gets the ability to kind of beat defenses over the top again and he makes them have to respect him in that area, that opens up a huge part of his game and it unlocks, even more potential for this offense.
Saturday in Hartford, Marquette or UConn, round 1. Who gets it?
Ooh. Man.
you good?
That's going to be such a good game. I can't wait. Oh, man. Because Marquette's a buzzsaw right now. Like, UConn's been doing its thing, but, man, Marquette has looked really impressive. I think they'll split their home and homes, so I'd give the edge to UConn. Although that game being at XL versus Gamble is a big factor, in my opinion. I think that UConn's harder to beat at Gamble. So, Marquette's going to have a chance in that one. I think the way they're playing right now and kind of the way they match up with each other, wow, I can't wait. Yeah. That's what I mean. This last month is going to be humongous for this league. Like, you're going to feel the energy. And I think, if UConn holds serving that and doesn't slip up somehow against DePaul in the Valentine's Day massacre we're about to see tonight, think about them coming in.
Yep.
The AP poll doesn't matter at this point in the season right now anyway, but just think of the, hype and hysteria around here for the AP number 1 to walk into CHI, against Creighton. Like, that's going to be as big of a game in a regular season that has no stakes truly attached to it from a regular season championship standpoint as I can remember since Villanova walked in here in 2018. So this last month, the people better get their heart rate in order because it's going to be some high level stuff.
It will be. Marquette's won 8 in a row. UConn's won 12 in a row. As always, we appreciate it. Great coverage, and I enjoyed the post-game podcast, and I look forward to what should be a very interesting Saturday in Indianapolis where the sun will be shining and there'll be one half where it'll be difficult to shoot.
Yeah, morning at Hinkle. Here we go.
Yep. Hey, thanks, Matt.
You bet.
Matt DeMarinis from White Blue Review.
You got excited about that.
Hey, it's a great showcase for the Big East. And it's, UConn just keeps moving right along. He's right there in Chicago tonight, so good luck to Paul. But you have that game. I mean, look at Butler played Marquette last night at Hinkle, and Marquette survived.
Yep.
And is Butler an NCAA team? They got the feel of it. Thad Matta's done a great job.
Yep.
They play a lot of bully ball, which feeds right into the way games are being called in the Big East. So then you transition from that. Butler has to get ready for Creighton. And then UConn gets the high-level matchup with Marquette, and Matt's absolutely right. That game being in Hartford and not in stores is a huge deal. Then they got to come here on a kind of a short turnaround because that game is on Tuesday. It's the life in the Big East at the top. Now, there's 6 teams that I think are fighting that are on the bubble that leads you to the games where Seton Hall or St. John's are playing, or Providence last night, which got a huge win in holding off St. John's.
St. John's, man. There was a time that we were thinking, hey, St. John's, and they are just not winning games anymore.
Nope. There's teams that, man, there were some bad losses last night. North Carolina had a bad loss.
Yep.
Do you trust North Carolina? They've lost 3 of their last 5.
North Carolina's a lot like Kansas.
Texas A&M had a bad loss.
Yep.
I mean, it maybe is kind of beneficial this week that Nebraska can sit on the sidelines and watch people, but know that the next time Nebraska loses a game, it will be considered, quote unquote, a bad loss.
Yes.
All right.
That's what they have in front of them.
All right. We will talk a little baseball here, a little Nebraska baseball. Different kind of team this year that will begin in Arlington. I don't think they're going to hit 97 home runs this year, Nick.
No.
But I think they will be better suited to be better than 6-6 in the midweek.
I do too.
Which kept them out of the tournament last year. Yeah. Lance Harvell will join us coming up next. Also, we will have a correspondent from the Kansas City Chiefs parade coming up in an hour.
Hey.
Yes, we will.
Okay.
Secret. And also Brandon Vogel stops by. That's all still to come as we roll till 10 on Valentine's Day at 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
The suspicious activity also included the Better Showing Sportsbook staff messages from Bohannon and explaining that the messages were Bohannon informing Better that Bama was scratching its starting pitcher before the game before Bohannon alerted LSU.
So the
guys, look, I have messages from the coach.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Warming up on Valentine's Day Wednesday. Expect partly to mostly cloudy skies with southeast winds gusting 20 to 25 miles per hour. We'll stay dry through most of the day, though can't rule out a spotty shower, mainly after 8 p.m. in the metro. Highs in the mid-50s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
The Zone Hotline is powered by 42 Degrees. The Source. By your mom's house.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. No new accidents to report, but some pretty heavy traffic dodge eastbound starting 180th up to 90th. And if you're traveling I-80 eastbound, it's pretty slow between I-680 and 84th, as well as the opposite direction I-80 westbound between 42nd and 60th, and that usual slow traffic JFK northbound between L Street and F at this time. Please stay safe and wear those seatbelts, everybody. I'm Peter Krenzer.
Join me, Jimmy Allen, for the Creighton Athletics Hour. We'll be talking all things Blue Jays and interviewing your favorite coaches, so you don't want to miss it. It's the Creighton Athletics Hour, Thursdays, starting at 6 o'clock, only on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and your 1620 The Zone mobile app.
It's the most time-honored tradition to start the weekend, grabbing a cold one from a local Nebraska brewery. Let's be real here. It's cold outside, and you don't want to drink the same boring beer as those Hawkeye fans. Drink Nebraska brewed beer, cider, or seltzers instead. Each week, we're putting the spotlight on unique Nebraska brewery with One Beer Friday. Share your brew on social media with the hashtag One Beer Friday, and you'll be entered to win a $25 gift card to a local Nebraska brewery. Nebraska is the good life with great beer. Click nebraska.beer to learn more.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is your home for the big game. We're in the middle of the best time of the year of basketball season, with meaningful games every night, with 40 TVs and massive dual projectors. The games have never looked better. Pair that with their award-winning char-buffed wings and $7.99 Monday through Friday lunch specials. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill has everything you need. 173rd and West Center Road, and for takeout, 162nd and Maple.
A toast to our new college grad who fills us with so much joy, almost as much as when we're in our RV. Oh, the world is your oyster, kiddo, and ours too. Now that we're covered with Progressive, Dad and I can hop in our RV anytime we want. Might even splurge on a retractable awning. Ooh, look out. Sorry, what was I talking about?
Protect your loved one with an RV policy from Progressive. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you could save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Creighton Sports Update. Creighton tennis is back. Women's tennis returns to the Hanscom Tennis Courts on Friday at 12:30 p.m. to take on North Dakota. Fans can check out the action for free. For more information or to follow along on all things Creighton athletics, visit GoCreighton.com. And that's your Creighton Sports Update.
1620 The Zone proudly supports Creighton Athletics.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Civic Tax Relief can help protect you from the IRS. Call Civic Tax Relief for free information now. Find out about the Fresh Start program that is now available through Civic Tax Relief. Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the programs available.
841-0908. 841-0908. 800-841-0908.
3 little words no parent wants to hear.
My tummy hurts.
And it always seems to happen at the worst times. Like in the middle of the morning rush, when you still have homework to check and lunches to pack, and of course, you're already late for work. Luckily, there's Pepto Kids. Pepto Kids gummies help relieve occasional stomach upsets, turning those 3 words into these 3 words.
I feel better.
Bad time for stomach upsets? Good time for Pepto Kids gummies. Fast support for little tummies.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Roofing, siding, and gutters. Make the right call with the rooferys at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Nebraska baseball gets their season started out Friday, and they will have quite the competition. Baylor, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, all at Globe Life to get the season started. Happy to talk some Husker baseball with assistant coach Lance Arvell joining us. Coach, the dude getting the dudes. How are you? How's the season so far?
The dude abides. Good morning, guys.
So, want to get into it. I mean, this is a weekend that obviously, you know, the competition is going to be very challenging. I know you guys like that about this team. So, as we always ask coaches going to that first weekend, other than the obvious of trying to get as many wins as you can out of the whole situation, what are you hoping to see? What do you sort of anticipate seeing, especially from something that you're kind of a little bit more in on with the offense? What is kind of the big takeaway that you guys are hoping to see here getting out of Globe Life?
Yeah, I think for me and all of us, we kind of just want to see the work that we've put in, the preparation show up on game day. You know, I think that's probably what any coach would tell you, and you just want to see the same team that you've seen over the past 6 months or so, you know, and especially here in the last month, you know, as we've started prepping for the season. You just want to see that team show up, and we tell our guys every day, it's like, you know, we work a certain way and we have a certain standard for a reason. And it's so our preparation, you know, it's harder than what the actual game day might be, you know, and we throw everything at them. We try to speed them up. We try to make everything harder, and kind of move faster than what it might on a game day, so that they're prepared, you know, and when game day comes, they can just let their training kind of show up, you know what I mean? And just kind of go out there. And what we talk about every day is let's attack, every day at practice and our preparation with joy and intent, and like just the passion for what we're doing and not overlooking anything and, celebrating every little small thing and just kind of embracing the hard stuff so that on game day we can go out there and just play fast, hard, and loose, just let it kind of hang out there and let your training kind of show up and just go play loose, go play fearless, go play fast. And that's what I think we all, would like to see. And obviously, you want to win games. I mean, that's a big part of it too. Like we want to win. We're competitors and we're in the competition business, and we want to win. And I think we've got a group, that is highly competitive and that's what I'm hoping shows up this weekend.
How further ahead are you guys? Because you spent more time either at Den Hartog or in your own ballpark compared to being in the Hawks Championship Center because the weather has cooperated.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, the weather being, sunny and 50 degrees somewhere in that ballpark for the last 2.5, 3 weeks has been awesome. And we've been able to be out here, at Haymarket for about the last week or so. And having Den Hartog just right across town that we can jog over there and scrimmage, it's big because while it's, obviously it's great and it's awesome to have the indoor facilities that we have being in this part of the country this time of the year. You can only simulate so much, and while we're never gonna make excuses for it, and we're gonna make the best out of it and find ways to get better. But you just can't, you can't put a price tag on what it's for us, being outside the last 3 weeks and being able to scrimmage and getting those looks, like for hitters, it's just a different thing, picking up spin on the ball inside versus, being outside, I mean, it just is, it's been huge. So we've been real fortunate with that.
Well, and she probably even had a chance to see this back in the fall, and I know you had a lot of respect for Jeff Christie. The changes made, Rob Childress has now taken over the pitching staff, and we know his history in being able to transform a pitching staff into an elite group. Just going all the way back to fall and what you've seen now in practices leading up, what has been the Rob Childress effect just from your vantage point?
Well, yeah, I think it's very similar too, because Jeff obviously being a catcher here in the same system when Rob was the pitching coach here, and then coming up under him as a coach, it's still pretty much the same system and about the same things. Having guys compete when they're on the mound, throwing strikes, working ahead of hitters, and so it's been more of the same. I think. I mean, it hasn't been that vast, I guess, or stark contrast from those things. But Rob is he's one of a kind, and I think his kind of effect on the guys, he's got a way. And obviously I played for him and Will when I was at A&M and kind of having experienced it firsthand, and then also kind of starting my coaching career coming up under both of those guys as well. Rob has just an innate ability to make you do things you don't want to do. And I don't mean that from like a manipulation standpoint, but I mean it more from like a leadership standpoint. Maybe something that you don't want to do, or maybe it's not that fun, but he gets you to do it and he gets you to like doing it, and it's just, there's a unique quality there where, you just, guys just love him and you just respect him. And it's almost like a father figure. Like you just you want to perform, you want to, you kind of want to please him. You want to get that approval from him. And so this is kind of what I've seen, again, not in stark contrast to what it's been, the last several years, but just what I've seen with the guys this year is just kind of that maybe competitiveness, I guess, from the standpoint of how demanding Rob is and what those guys they want to do well, not just for him but for the team. But just Rob's got that, he's got that ability. I don't know what it is. I mean, we kind of joke and we call him the master manipulator. If he starts he starts twisting that mustache a little bit, something's coming your way, whether you like it or not.
So he'll have a staff to work with that has a lot of options out of the bullpen. But I'm glad Brett Sears, the old man, gets the start, the ball to begin the year. I mean, the guy's going to be 24 in May, and we saw a glimpse of him last year. He went to the Northwoods League, and man, he was lights out. So I'm happy that he has worked his butt off to get the opportunity to start the opening game. And then you have Clark and Walsh that are also going to be thrown this weekend. But as you have watched from fall ball now into the run-up to this weekend in Arlington, from the pitcher standpoint, what guy have you been sitting there with the rest of the staff watching a scrimmage, and you turn to the guy to your left or right and go, dang, that's some nasty stuff? Who on the mound has stood out to you before the season begins?
Yeah, well, first of all, be careful calling Sears the old man because Kyle Perry might take offense to that.
Yeah,
true,
that's a good point.
Yeah. Kyle's like 31. Yeah,
Kyle's like a pitcher and a coach, isn't he?
I think he's driving the bus on a few.
He's the only guy that can rent a car on the
road. He's got approval on the P card that I don't even have. We got some emergencies. We go to KP. No, the staff this year, kind of like it's really kind of built different. It's kind of built from the back to the front, and not saying that our starters aren't any good. Obviously they are, but yeah, kind of from the stuff standpoint, and the guys that when they're on the mound, it's like, okay, hits are going to be at a premium here. Like we're going to have to really lock in on an approach at the plate because this guy is just nasty. There's a few guys, Casey Dice on the back end. I think he's probably gonna, be our closer or one of them. He's nothing he throws is straight. He's a fastball slider guy. He's got a changeup. He's gonna be he's been anywhere from 90 to 94, and the ball's moving almost 2 feet, foot and a half to 2 feet of sink and run, and it's like it's either moving, as a right-handed hitter, the fastball's either running in a foot and a half on you, or it's moving a foot and a half away from you with the slider. He's one of them. Bobby Olson, transfer from Brown. He's got a big league curveball. Grant Clevenger, big left-hander, transfer from Tulane. He's 90 to 95 with again just a big league breaking ball. So we've got some guys with some stuff there at the back end that we feel pretty good, turning the ball over to in the bullpen and getting kind of getting better as the game goes on the mound. And we've kind of messed around talking as a staff, just kind of combinations of pitchers and games. Okay. And Coach Bolt kind of had a little question for us a couple of weeks ago where he had grouped like 3 groups of pitchers together and said, okay, if you had to pick to go win a game today, this guy's starting and then you're going in order, turning the ball over to these guys in the bullpen, which one are you going to? And between me and Rob and Siri, each of us had 3 different answers.
Wow.
Which is a pretty good sign, it's, and you can make cases for all of it. So, the pitching staff, again, where it might not look traditional, where you've got the bell cow on a Friday night that's going to give, you're going to get, 7 or 8 innings from him every time out. Sears could be that guy, like we've got the guys at the front end that could absolutely do that. We saw it last year with Walsh. He can go out there and carve you up and go through a lineup several times. But we feel like we don't have to be as demanding, that like the demands on those starters aren't as great. We feel like we can say, hey, look, just go out there and get us to the lineup a couple times, and then we'll turn it over to these guys, in the bullpen to come in and go finish this thing off. And so from an offensive standpoint, again, just kind of looking at the whole thing here kind of put together, feel pretty good about if we can run offense or get somehow, some way, just get a lead, by like the 6th inning or so. Feel good about turning it over to those guys in the bullpen to go finish it off, and so that's kind of the formula a little bit going into the season here.
Talking to Nebraska baseball assistant coach Lance Arvell. Lance, the other part that I'm sure you get asked going into this season from media and from people from the outside is how do you replace the production that you get from Bryce Matthews and Max Anderson? And I'm sure the simple question is, or the simple answer is, you don't with just two other guys. But you also look at this group. I'm thinking of a Garrett Anglim. I'm thinking of a Gabe Swanson, a Dylan Carey, even a Ben Columbus in there offensively. Is that kind of the idea with this group? Is you don't have the two guys that are going to fill in and do that, what those guys did from a historical standpoint, but you've got multiple guys that can replace that production?
Well, for me, it comes down to simple math. I mean, you got Gabe Swanson that hit 18 home runs last year, so I've just told him, just be twice as good as you were.
Yeah, no big deal.
Really the answer, kind of the simple answer is you don't replace that kind of production. You have two guys that had seasons. They just so happen to be on the same team in the same year, but they had seasons that are going to go down in history, like historic seasons in terms of the program. And you got guys that a first rounder and a second rounder that are all everything. You don't replace those guys easily. And so the way that you do it is just in the aggregate, right? And so, and I think, again, just the personnel that we have in the way that, we've built this team is it's more consistent kind of from top to bottom. So I've told some people this, and people probably think I'm crazy, and time will tell, I guess. But it's crazy to think that, maybe you lose a first round shortstop and a second round second baseman, but still feel like you could have a better offense, a better lineup, top to bottom. The production is going to be spread out. It's going to have to be. But I really do feel like it's going to kind of be a little bit different brand of baseball, a little bit different brand of offense, where, we can kind of create some more things, and just it can be a little bit more dynamic. I think our team speed top to bottom is better this year. I think, guys, we have more older guys in the lineup that understand the offense, and just kind of understand the moving parts and why we do certain things. And so having like that's what I feel like my job is a lot of times, or the biggest part of my job, is getting guys to understand what we're trying to do, to kind of think along with me, so that they're, a step ahead or two steps ahead or whatever. So that, again, going back to what I said, so that we can play fast, and if we're trying to put pressure on the defense, if we're out there having to, make decisions, or we get caught in between on, just say on the bases, trying to make a decision, do we go or not? Well, that's not playing fast. That's not speeding up the defense. That's not putting pressure on the defense. That's not forcing them to make a play to get us out. If we already know ahead of time, all right, if I'm on first base and there's a base hit here, I'm going. I understand the situation. I understand what I'm doing. There is no decision I got to make it. And so if we're playing aggressive in the kind of baseball and the brand of baseball that we want to play, that, again, that we've been playing for, all through the fall and all last month, then I think we've got something. I think the production is going to come. The body of work at the end of the year is going to be fine. We may not go set school records again for home runs, but I would much rather. It's a question that I pose to the guys, every fall, like on the first day. Would you rather, be a guy or be a team that sets school records and asks for stats, or do you want to go set the school records for wins? Would you rather host a regional? And obviously the answer is clear. And so, if we end up hitting 260 as a team, but we go win 45 games, I'll take that. So it's one of those deals. Like from a production standpoint, the numbers are going to be what they are. There's kind of one. It's that whole the win column is the only one we're really worried about.
So if there's one thing trending, is it seems like we find breakout stars when they get to their sophomore year in this program, and the next guy is Dylan Carey. So besides him moving on the left side of the infield from third to short, what will people notice different about this kid who, last year everybody was like, whoa, this could be a big guy. You hear about him in the fall. What will be different about Dylan Carey this year?
Yeah. Well, he had an unbelievable fall. He had, I think, shoot, 18 or something extra base hits this fall. I mean, it was like you couldn't get him out, and it was almost like I didn't realize how good, how dangerous he was until the red white the fall World Series when I was coaching against him on the other team.
Yeah.
And every time he came to the plate, I mean, you like the blood pressure rising. You're like, oh man, all right, do not, and he still did it. So I think. The biggest thing for him, and I'll kind of tell the story. So I had the guys. We always give them like a hitter's test to kind of see where they're at, their understanding of the signs and just the offense situations and all that kind of stuff. And I had the guys in the back of their test this year kind of write, all right, I want you to write in your own words what your role on this team is and what you're going to do to help us win. And had meetings with him and kind of went through that stuff with him. And Dylan's, he said, last year I wanted to be like the learner, the student, and I just wanted to kind of almost sit back and learn. He goes, this year I want to be the teacher. And that just kind of tells me from a maturity standpoint, like that's not something that in knowing him, he's not just going to say things, flippantly. And so that just kind of tells me where his head's at. And if you watch him, like his actions, the way he works and the way he goes about his business every day, it backs that up, that he's like, I want to be the guy that's set, kind of set the tone for the day and kind of being, as far as the standards go, like holding myself to that standard, but holding everybody else to it as well. And I told him and a few other guys, there's a difference, there's a subtle difference in kind of setting the standard and then also being the standard bearer, because that's a heavy cross to bear, and he's done it along with several other guys. It's like if you're willing to pick that up and carry that every single day, and not only be kind of leading by example, but also bringing the vocal side where guys are hearing your voice. I mean, you're the shortstop, man. Like it's like you can't be a church mouse out there, and that's the kind of speed like the growth, with him. He's got the physical tools and all that. And so I think just the kind of the next progression, him going from playing on the left side with Bryce every day last year and playing an unbelievable third base all year, by the way, as a freshman, and now moving into that shortstop. He had a great role model in Bryce, and now he's kind of taking that and kind of making it his own. And so he's just kind of shown that maturity from a leadership standpoint, and then again from the physical side, there's nothing he can't do on the baseball field. I mean, he's a prospect already, and he's got a really strong arm, accurate arm. He's probably going to be hitting 3-0 for us. He had a tremendous fall, and I'm hoping again that he kind of just shows that this spring and shows what he's capable of.
Hey, Lance, always great to have you on. That means baseball season is here. Safe travels down to Arlington. Great weekend of baseball, and good luck.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
That's Lance Marvell, the coach for Nebraska baseball. Dylan Carey is draft eligible as a sophomore.
Yes, he is.
So he'll get a lot of attention this year from scouts.
Yep, and it's interesting when he kind of brought up the evolution of your true freshman year to your sophomore year. And I remember seeing Max and Bryce both go through this, where you had that really strong super senior class, with the Jackson Hallmarks and the Luke Roscoms, the Joe Ackers of the world. And so they kind of took a back seat to that. And then that was that really awkward sophomore year for both of them, where their production went down to, you didn't have a lot of voices in that clubhouse. And I think a lot of people were kind of looking at Max and Bryce because they were highly productive guys, but they didn't feel like, they're still kind of young and still kind of inexperienced with it. And it's last year's where you saw them both sort of on the field and even off the field kind of take a little bit more of that vocal leadership role, as much as, their personality would have let them. It's interesting to hear that about Dylan Carey, who's already looking to kind of take on that role, because you still got a lot of new faces. Like Garrett Englam's a guy who's been there for a while, Gabe Swanson, and those guys you're really going to rely on too. But I think that's a real positive development there with a guy that had such a important role last year that's going to be even a bigger part of what they're trying to do offensively. He mentioned a guy, by the way, guys, that I've been hearing nothing but amazing things, and you're probably going to see him try to close down games. Casey Dice, guy out of Pasco Hernandez Junior College, a stud. And when he talks about movement, from everything that I've heard too, this guy, when he's got to go on, and this is where I like the Rob Childress effect of emphasizing the strikes. And if you're not throwing strikes, you're not going to be out there. And that is so true. If you're seeing Casey Dice out there, it means not only does Rob Childress trust that he's going to pound the zone, that ball is going to be moving a lot. This could be, just keep your eye on it. This could be one of the more, dare I say, dominant closers, if it all kind of works out for Casey Dice, that they've had in a while, just based on his ball movement, the angle it comes in. He can make hitters look pretty. He's going to get a lot of swing and miss stuff.
All right, Tom Ott, you're on the clock. So there is part of the announcement of the rotation yesterday that is a little bit of a bummer, but back to your point of Rob Childress, is Drew Christo is not in the starting rotation. You thought he'd be the Friday guy. And I have a lot of people that stop me and say, is he ever going to break through? And I said, man, I watched him in high school, and his stuff was electric.
Yeah.
And you've seen a batter or two where the Elkhorn High Drew Christo shows up, and he had a good offseason, he had a good fall, and he has not gotten off to a great start, just because this is the difference with Rob Childress, where he's holding guys accountable, and at the end of the day, it will make them better. And I also think their weekend rotation is still going to be in a little bit of flux.
Agreed.
I mean, they're going to try some guys out. If you can't throw strikes and miss bats, you're not given a pass.
Right.
And I think that's what happened with Drew Christo. Will kind of explained it yesterday, but that's my feeling is not throwing strikes. He's not missing bats. So we're not just going to put him out there as a starter.
Especially against that competition this weekend.
Let him work out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
But it is now or never.
It is. And you got the guy teaching you.
When he's on, it's electric, man, and he's big time. But we just have not seen that in 2+ years. It is kind of now or never. But Rob Childress might be the best thing that's ever happened to Drew Christo.
I totally agree. And another thing, too, I think is important to also look at when you see that rotation with Drew Christo not in it this weekend. There is a guy that you got to remember the last time we saw him, it was impressive, and he's now finally fully healthy. Will Walsh. Remember the Big Ten tournament game against Michigan State? That was a 4-hit, 9-inning CG shutout. Like, that was our last impression. That was when he was finally healthy, has good stuff. That's another story. And again, under Rob Childress' tutelage, that's another story that is going to be fascinating to watch, because Will Walsh has always kind of had that ability, but he's battling injuries so much. Now he's got Rob Childress behind him too. And what he was able to give you that last time out before Nebraska season ended, it's kind of got you curious and wanting more of what Will Walsh can bring too.
Yeah. They got to find a number 1 and number 2, and then as important, a number 4.
Yep.
They went 6-6 in the midweek last year.
They got options.
Another hour to come. We'll go to Kansas City. Cole Stukenholz, who works at our sister station, KLIN. He has taken the family to the parade again. 3rd straight time he's been at the parade. Got to warn you guys, you weren't with me the first time. We ran into some ladies that had been tailgating before the parade.
All right.
So just prepare yourself accordingly. But
Okay.
Cole is scheduled to join us from KC in about half an hour. Brandon Vogel from counterread.com stops by as well in 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. For the Jays, the Huskers, and even you Jayskers, we are 1620 The Zone.
Planning something fun for your office, family, or friends? Joe's Karting is for you. Take a break. Come to Joe's to race, relax, and recharge. Great for team building. Ditch the speaker and burn some rubber. Trust us, Joe says you'll leave motivated. Joe's Karting race packages range from providing simple stress relief races to the real deal race experience. Check us out at joeskarting.com. Remember, go to Joe's, your place to race.
Hey guys, it's Nick for Hims. Look, as guys sometimes following our favorite sports teams, we like stats, we like facts. How about this? 52% of men over 40 experience some form of ED, and male pattern hair loss affects 50% of men by the age of 50. What can you do with those stats? Well, especially if it affects you, you can actually do something about it. Those are facts because Hims can help you upgrade your daily routines with prescription treatments that can make a big difference and help you regain your confidence, help you feel like yourself again. Hims treatments fit seamlessly into your everyday routine. So once you get treatment, taking care of your health problems is surprisingly simple. And since it's all online, that means no doctor's offices and no pharmacies, just solutions that can bring real results. Hims has helped millions of guys just like you get help for their health problems. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/start. That's hims.com/start for your free online visit. HIMS.com/.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up spills quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading ordinary brand. So you can get back to your night. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
It's pro time, Nebraska. The Omaha Supernovas, your Major League Volleyball team, have exploded onto the scene with record crowds and a fan experience that is second to none. Witness world-class talent downtown at the CHI Health Center, Omaha. Be there as the Supernovas take on Orlando on Sunday, February 18th at 5 p.m. Don't wait to be a part of history. Secure your tickets today at supernovas.com. That's supernovas.com.
I feel good.
Dad, are you singing to your cereal?
Yes, I am. Like I knew that I would.
No, a dance too?
Come on, Ava. Silk almond milk starts the morning on a high note. Yow!
Songs, dances, and dad jokes.
So good. So good. I got you.
Silk almond milk.
With calcium, vitamins A, D, and E.
Feel plenty good.
Tell us how you feel on the J-Tech Construction and Solar Zone Twitter feed. Reach Gary, Nick, Connor, Josh, and John anytime on the J-Tech Construction and Solar Zone Twitter feed. Contact the official exterior and solar experts of the Huskers. J-Tech Construction at yourexteriorexperts.com.
1620 The Zone at 1620thezone.com. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, Super Bowl parade in Kansas City coming up in a couple of hours. We'll go to Kansas City. Our correspondent on the ground will be there.
65, you said?
That's it's supposed to be the high today.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Man.
The Super Bowl now a couple of days ago, all the fallout about overtime decisions, Kyle Shanahan coaching against Andy Reid. The NFL Films is releasing a lot of the mic'd up stuff. Man, the Greenlaw injury, if you've not seen it, so Mahomes was mic'd up, and he immediately says, hey, 57's down, 57's down. He's telling Matt Nagy this.
Mm-hmm.
And then they cut to Kyle Shanahan, and he goes, did Dre just get injured running on the field?
Yeah.
And then they have the Niners players on defense that are mic'd up, and they all scream. And then you can hear Greenlaw in the background as he's rolling around on the ground. He's screaming as well. I'm like, oh. But also the Niners on the sidelines, the guys that were mic'd up, this is another video that was released yesterday. They called Patrick Mahomes just a regular quarterback.
Why do you do that?
That will not age well.
No.
Now, they also have released the final play. Another cool thing, Andy Reid and Peter King. Andy Reid had his play sheet. You know, it was after the game, late in the morning. Peter King is interviewing him. Andy Reid has his play sheet, and he goes through the play call for the winning touchdown as Peter King is writing it down and asking questions about, okay, what does this mean? And
corn dog?
Like, you know, what does Tom and Jerry mean? What does motion mean? All that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. The one that I really wish they have to release the mic'd up video of Travis Kelce coming over to Andy Reid.
Yeah.
They have not yet.
No.
But Kelce was mic'd up. Andy Reid was not. But they have to. I mean, come on, don't hold that back.
Yeah.
Turns out they were just playing Metallica, and he wanted to.
That
Andy.
needs to be full disclosure, because the way that both of them explained it, it turned into more of a nothing other than just the images that you see, and now it's turned into a fun meme. But yeah, I want to know. I just want to know the overall dialogue, because I get what those two are saying, and they just won. So of course you're going to say like, I love the passion, and I love Andy Reid, and that's just my emotions of the big game. But in the moment, we all want to know what was said.
Yeah,
Did you take a shot against Taylor?
Hey, I don't think it'll be. I mean, they both have talked about it.
Yeah,
they got to release it, but maybe that'll be coming out today.
I hope it is.
And they'll just to the tune of One Love.
And Andy will say, "What's that I can't hear over my 3 rings?"
Let's get together.
Hey,
that would be good.
So the Bob Marley movie comes out today.
I want to see that.
The reggae pioneer.
Yes.
That his Legend album, which was released in '84, is nothing but banger after banger. Every Bob Marley hit that you hear or people sing, basically is off that album.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll do that with One Love, and it'll just at the end it'll show Travis and Big Red. Just hour to go. When we come back, Matt Rule hugged Tony White in many, many ways. He spoke about him last night. We talk about their relationship coming up next on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. No new accidents to report later on in the morning here, and traffic seems to have thinned out for the most part. Still a little bit slow dodge eastbound around 102nd up to 90th. Expect delays if you're heading that direction. Other than that, things looking pretty good throughout the area. Have a great rest of your Valentine's Day, everybody. Please stay safe and wear those seatbelts. I'm Peter Krunzer.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by IBEW Local 22.
The electrical market requires your company to adjust to an ever-changing field. IBEW Local 22 gives you flexibility with access to journeymen, apprentices, and proven training programs. Call Bob at IBEW Local 22 for details at 402-980-7596.
You can find pizza anywhere. But when you want pizza pie piled high with more toppings, that's when you come to my place, Godfather's Pizza. For a limited time, get your hands on 2 of my large one-topping pizzas. Pick pepperoni, beef, black olives, you choose. All this food for only $30. Feed your whole mob. Bang. Hey, it's an offer you can't refuse. Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
A toast to our new college grad who fills us with so much joy. It's not just when we're in our RV. Oh, the world is your oyster, kiddo, and ours too. Now that we're covered with Progressive, Dad and I can hop in our RV anytime we want. Might even splurge on a retractable awning. Ooh, look out. Sorry, what was I talking about?
Protect your loved one with an RV policy from Progressive. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you could save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
This is a sale so hot, Standard Heating and Air can only do it once a year. Right now, buy a Carrier air conditioner from Standard Heating and Air and get a free furnace. Now, that's a hot deal.
StandardAC.com, where we do the things we do.
Carrier, turn to the experts.
Omaha native Frankie Fiddler is top 20 in the NCAA Division I scoring and leading the Omaha Maverick men's basketball team in a run for the conference title. The Maverick men are at home against South Dakota on Thursday and South Dakota State on Saturday. And Maverick hockey only has 4 regular season home games left on February 23rd and 24th when they take on Colorado College in a top 20 matchup. Let's pack the Baxter. Get your tickets now. Call the box office at 402-554-MAVS or omavs.com/tigs.
When Cynthia came to TurboTax, she had just launched her new side gig, a true crime podcast.
I'm a first-rate detective with a golden voice.
As her TurboTax expert, I made her second income count by guaranteeing 100% accurate filing and her maximum refund.
What did she do with that refund? Find out next week.
Switch to Intuit TurboTax and make your moves count. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
Is switching your wireless service to Total by Verizon easy?
Totalmente.
And you get unlimited 5G data, $25 a line for 4 lines on the unlimited plan at an amazing price with no contracts. Should you switch to Total by Verizon? Definitely. Find a store or switch Suavemente at totalbyverizon.com. Monthly rate when you activate with autopay plus taxes and fees. Discount begins the month after you enroll. Additional terms apply. See website for data management practices.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, sorry about that. I was scrolling. So Bill Connolly has released his first SP Plus protection of the year. Nebraska's not 25, if you were wondering.
It's okay. In February.
I'll find it. So that is out. Spring football has already started at Appalachian State in Hawaii.
They are 39th, by the way.
In reality, it's always spring
Top
football in
40.
Hawaii.
Top 40. There you go.
All right. So college football will be here before you know it.
And that's the main takeaway here.
Yes, it is.
UCLA's 37th. So we've been talking a lot of UCLA football lately. You know, Bruin overreaction the last 2 days. So there you go. 37th for UCLA.
So they didn't take Tony White. So Matt Rule last night was on the network, had a discussion with Greg Sharp, not related, spelled differently. Greg decides to put an E on the end of his name. Not sure why. But
did you get tweeted at last night? Hey, I liked your conversation with Matt Rule last night.
I did not. But you know what's going to happen this weekend?
Baseball.
Yep.
You guys they're gonna say something during the broadcast, and someone's either gonna say, "Hey, I really like what you said there," or "What the hell are you even looking at?" Like, and then you'll go ahead and forward to.
You'll be like Frankie Fiddler warming up.
The only one that I have responded to, because I just let him go.
Yeah.
Is some guy was listening in his combine last spring.
Yeah.
And he said, "Hey, I just want you to know we're out here. Can you give me a shout out?"
Okay. Oh yeah.
And
so you want to make sure he gets.
So I responded and I put Greg's Twitter on
there. You go.
Yeah, because I didn't want the guy to be driving a combine and get pissed at Greg because he didn't recognize him.
Yeah. And you're a man of the people. That's worth a shout out.
So Tony White is staying at Nebraska, and Matt Rule talked about it last night. Man, Matt Rule loves him some Tony White, and I think he feels an obligation to help Tony White's national profile increase by this being a good year. I mean, everything they're doing, you can get the sense of urgency. Now, I also ask a fair question. I think it's fair. Matt Rule has to be better as a head coach.
He'd probably say that.
Matt Rule, everybody's talking about improvement from year one to year two. Matt Rule in game and clock management has to be better year two. Has to be. So he's not, I don't think he's avoiding this, but I'm including him in the sense of urgency is everybody has to get better. But listen to him talk about Tony White last night. It just kind of reiterates the point, that's a staff that there's really not a lot of egos. It's almost like a positionless staff. They all have input. They don't separate where, hey, my buddy is in this tier, you're in this tier, Tuyota, you're in the third tier, so we're not going to talk to you because you're one of the new guys. None of that crap. But his honesty about having a discussion with the UCLA AD and how he likes Tony and wants to help Tony get to where he's going. If I'm somebody else on that staff, and even on a support staff, I'm like, man, that's a guy I like to work for. Now, Rule's hard on guys. Okay, Rule grinds. You have to grind to work on that Rule. It's not for everybody. Okay, and he holds you to a high standard. But man, you're putting in some hours. He expects a lot, especially if you're in that recruiting office, man. But if you do him a solid, he strikes me as the guy that's going to do you a solid because he wants the best for you. And we went through a stage where this story has been told before, so this isn't new. It's not like past bringing up old stuff. The Cincinnati Bengals wanted to hire Greg Austin, and they went to the head coach at the time at Nebraska, and he did not give him a glowing recommendation at all. And so the Bengals completely backed off Greg Austin. They wanted to hire Greg Austin as an assistant offensive line coach was the job.
Basically what Raiola was
with
Chicago.
And I put that next to here in Rule talk about Tony White, how we're all like, no, don't get the guy out of town. The Rule's like, no. We're going to help guys in their professional life succeed. Now, it also looks better on my resume as that guy worked for me and now he's a head coach.
Yep.
But it's just a change of philosophy that I am on this kick of the familiarity and the continuity of that staff, how much of an impact it will have when we get to the fall. Because guys like each other and you spend a lot of time with each other away from your family. That's not always the case. Somehow Rule's been able to do that with the current guys that have headsets on Saturdays.
Yeah, and seeing what these guys can accomplish, like if we're talking position groups, what they ultimately accomplish not only on the field, but if they're able to go to the league, obviously that's very gratifying for those coaches. But I think also to the point of what Matt Rule is talking about with Tony White, I think it's pretty gratifying that you're putting in that time that your head coach is going to bat for you. He mentioned something yesterday, and I'm kind of paraphrasing what he said, but about I know Tony White's going to bust his ass for me, so I got to show him at the end of the day that I'm working for him too.
There's an obligation there.
Yeah, and I think
to be really good this year.
I think to verbalize that, if he's making that public, clearly he's sending that message to his coaching staff too. I thought it was also very interesting for the rest of that staff on the defensive side, where Matt Rule said he feels like they have maybe 3 or 4 coordinators on the defensive staff. So he's also letting those guys know that, yes, if that position comes open, I got the confidence in you guys that you can be elevated to possibly a DC position as well. So I think what he was saying about Tony White also kind of went twofold for a guy like Evan Cooper, for Rob Dvorak, for Terrence Knight, and for everybody who's involved in that defense, even staff members that are on the analyst side too. I just feel like if you're sending that message and those guys know, you're not questioning that work. I mean, you shouldn't question that work after a 5-7 season to begin with, but you're never questioning that work as long as I'm going to put you through some stuff, guys, but at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, and I am going to go to bat for you. That's a powerful thing when you have a staff like that.
So there's a lot of, you got to be prepared, okay? The Super Bowl was won in part because Andy Reid was prepared and Kyle Shanahan was not for situations. You play situational football. What you're going to do in overtime. I know people are walking it back on what they said after the game with the Niners. Let's be honest. Shanahan failed on that.
Yep.
Okay. He missed the little details.
He even admitted he didn't tell the team.
Andy Reid is Mr. Detail guy.
Yep.
So I've cautioned people, don't be excited about 85 and how Nebraska's scholarships are bloated right now. They'll figure it out. Okay. It's not going to impact me or you. It would impact them if they didn't take care of it, but they got a plan. They'll take care of it. They'll be fine when they open up fall camp. Okay. They're not going to skirt the NCAA. Yep. There's also, he did something last night, kind of subtly, is we are starting to wonder, okay, what happens when Tony White leaves?
Yep.
One thing about Saban that I don't think gets enough run is Saban lost so many assistants during his time at Alabama that went on to be head coaches or coordinators somewhere else, and they never missed a beat.
No, it's one of the great things.
He was able to keep hiring guys.
Yep.
Okay, that's a sign. Hayden Fry. I was an Iowa kid growing up, loved the Hawkeyes, loved Hayden Fry. I scratched where it itched. And he had a great staff. But when those guys started to move on and got head coaching jobs, he wasn't able to replicate the quality of assistant coaches. And so the program took a dip. That'll be the sign of Rule here, because if Nebraska has success this year, that staff will be very popular in the NFL and for coordinator jobs, because they have some young guys coming up that are bright football guys that would, might want to bump to be a coordinator if that's what their goal is, and they don't see that path at Nebraska. What do you do to replace those guys? Rule last night basically told me that he's prepared.
Yep.
Tony White's going to leave, and he is prepared for the next DC. You guys don't need to worry about it. We're okay. I've already thought this out. I would not go to bat for a guy to get a job away from here if I didn't have the plan B. And I got the plan B, and his plan B, to me, reading between the lines, is it's internal, which we've all kind of assumed.
Yeah, it's exactly when I mentioned that he mentioned that they had the 3, I think he might have not even said 3, but we got some young guys that we feel will be coordinators and can be coordinators. Right there told me, he's also letting them know there's that possibility for you here, but also
promotion from within is huge.
It is.
Look what it does to this radio station. people that have worked here that have gotten promoted to on-air jobs. Look, no, it does. It does for the morale.
Mhm.
It does for the next person that comes along and fills their role as a part-time board op for UNO basketball that knows that a person that was board opping for me 3 years ago has a full-time on-air position in this building. So yeah, it's all about like connecting the dots to build up a organization or a company where there's the stakes are extremely high.
Right. Well, and you think about it too from maybe an analyst role. If you're sort of brought in and you're not part of like the original crew of Matt Rule and some of the stops that he's made, so essentially you're kind of like a Tony White, where I know Tony White's not an analyst, but if you look at guys from the outside, how attractive that opportunity might be in Nebraska, because there's going to be a lot that's demanded out of you, but that there is going to be an opportunity to either promote from within, or you're going to have a head coach that's going to give you a lot of good recommendations that this could be a great stepping stone to either a bigger role at Nebraska or wherever you want to go in college football. So I think it serves two purposes, both internally to have that continuity, especially with the players too, because they always appreciate that. Hell, I was watching the Deshaun Foster reaction from the players when they rolled him out there. And they were through the moon happy. They seemed like it anyway.
They introduced him.
They did.
Because when you said they rolled him out there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, they didn't actually roll him out there. And Deshaun Foster looks like he could still play, by the way. But when they did introduce him, they were through the roof excited, because that's a guy that they already know. It's a face they already know. It's a guy that's already been going to bat for. And he was getting emotional during his press conference about how much those guys mean to him. That's a powerful thing to 18 to 22, in some cases 23 or 24-year-olds. But they know the real deal. And so that's where I think of guys that start within, that you're seeing. Maybe you're not even seeing them on a day-to-day basis on the practice field, but they're involved, and then all of a sudden they get promoted. You're right. It's a morale thing, not just with the coaching staff, but with the entire team as well.
Is he going to have Stephen Davis and Jake Delhomme on his staff? Should.
All former
Great
Carolina
Panthers.
Panthers.
Maybe, hey,
Peppers.
New Hall of Fame,
Defense.
Julius Peppers.
Sam Mills.
Oh, God, I just had a total obscure quarterback. Todd Collins. Give me Todd Collins.
All right. Little known fact, Carolina's never had a Super Bowl parade. Kansas City's going to have one for the third time in 5 years.
Well done.
We're borrowing him from Broadcast House, our sister station in Lincoln, the mighty KLIN, which birthed Gary Sharp. It is Cole Stokely, who is our 1620 The Zone correspondent, fellow diehard Chief fan, who once again has taken the family to the parade, and he joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning, Gary. It is a good morning to have a parade. It is elite parade weather, and we Chiefs fans know a little thing about parade weather, so I'm excited. I know you're fired up. I wish you could be down here with us.
Okay, so first of all, before we go any further, I'm supposed to ask you a question. Who is your favorite uncle that lives in Gretna?
Oh, did Uncle Mike tell you to say that?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay. Well, I guess I'll say Uncle Mike for purposes of this radio appearance.
All right. So you're taking the family once again. You're the good luck charm. The weather is better. What about our viewing spot? Where are we going today to watch the parade?
So we'll be at 12th and Grand. We'll be on the west side. So if you're over there, come say hi. I've got the 4 kids and my dad. So it'll be a 6-pack of us down there, while our friends in red jerseys will be enjoying their own 6-packs.
Yep.
So we'll have a spot there. We'll see the buses roll by. We'll get to wave to Taylor Swift's boyfriend, and we'll see the best player in the world enjoy a few Coors lattes.
Yeah,
it's going to be a great time.
Hey, what's the open container policy out there? Is it just don't care, don't ask,
Yes.
and we're just going to turn our back on it?
I mean, it's pretty much a free for all.
Okay,
You'll see just about everything down there.
That's the way it should be. All right.
Now you went to the Royals parade too, right?
I did.
Okay, so you're a man you're a man that loves a parade.
Hey, when your team wins and they're 3 hours away, you got to go say hi to the team and thank them for their service. And I'll tell you what, this weather is going to rival that Royals parade that was in November too.
That's what I said. That's true.
That was the best one yet, but today might be better.
Okay, so you're navigating your way to your spot at 12th and Grand. What's the crowd like compared to like last year?
I'm not quite to the spot yet, so I'm anticipating it will be even more people this year because of the weather. But yeah, it'll be packed. I mean, it'll be, by the time it gets to be about 11 o'clock when they start rolling the buses down Grand, it's going to be probably an entire block's worth of Chiefs fans packing the entire street.
Yeah, school's canceled again all over the metro.
Oh, nice.
Their metro, not ours.
Hey, Cole, can you, and maybe you need to tweet this out later. I want to know if there is going to be a strong presence of actual just Swifties too. I mean, where you might have to explain a little bit of what happened in overtime and why the rules were a little different, things like that. Because I anticipate, even with Taylor Swift not being there and on her way to Australia, that there's still going to be, the Swifties there to represent her.
Yeah, that is a good thing to look out for. I will keep an eye out. I've got one with me, actually. My 12-year-old, a big Swiftie. She's pointing out all the 87 jerseys for me. So yeah, that'll be an interesting element to this year.
Well, because we used to be on 7 to 11. So the first time you went to the parade, you got to be a man on the street, and so we got to interview people that were pretty inebriated.
I think you were in the afternoon that year.
Was I? Okay.
Oh,
I mean, they all run together when you won 3 of the last 5. Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yep.
Okay.
These
taking the kids to Steak and Shake after the parade.
These subtle Chiefs flexes by you guys are fantastic.
Hey, also one quick thing here, because you're just a Kansas City guy across the board. Thoughts on the location of the ballpark, which won't be very far from where you're at today?
Yeah, it's nice to know where it'll be. Hopefully, they get the tax situation resolved. Look, I mean, the owner's hell bent on doing it. It's going to happen. So yeah, it's right there by T-Mobile. Sounds like they're going to have actually more parking spaces within 10 minutes than they have at the current site. So hopefully that won't be an issue. And yeah, I'll be looking forward to getting down there once it's done. Kaufman's been great, but I mean, here's to the new shiny place.
I will be looking for you and the family. So try and get on TV, please.
We'll do our best.
All right. I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you for the call. Good. Keep up the good work down there in Lincoln.
We'll do. Anytime we get a Chiefs parade, I'll be down here for you. No problem.
I like
We'll be here for next year.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right. Be safe, Cole.
Yep. See you guys.
Cole Stupin.
Yeah, in Chicago. No,
Nick, I'm sorry, but it'll happen every year. That's just the administration. It's their reign.
I will tell you guys this: if Chicago does do it in my lifetime, I don't even care if I'm I need to be pushed. I will be in Chicago.
Hey, you should.
I wanted to go to the Blackhawks 2015 parade, and had a little scheduling conflict.
Reese and his kids will pick you up.
It might happen that way. But that is the goal. Like, had Cleveland won it in 2016, but the Bears, it's a no-brainer.
I will say this as somebody who just recently purchased my Super Bowl hat. They have a nice collection.
How are they looking? Not too
they
loud?
They don't look much different from last year, but they say Vegas on the side.
Okay.
I think Patrick Mahomes has a better chance to win the MVP next year than 3P.
You are so modest. I respect that. You were modest all season long, so.
Hey, the machine that New England had, it's three-peating is hard. Even though I agree with what I think you said this on Monday or Tuesday, that the Chiefs actually might have a better team than they did last year.
They will.
But
you got to have things go your way.
Exactly.
So yes, it's
exactly.
You've avoided, knock on wood, major injuries.
Yep.
So
yeah,
a year from now, the Texans will be celebrating their first championship. We'll all be wondering how and why.
But a big thing why 15 is not going to go away. There's a guy that truly loves football, loves competition.
Mm-hmm.
Loves the prep.
Is going to evolve because he's kind of evolving still as a quarterback at 28. The biggest thing will be for Kansas City, and this was the same way with the Patriots and any other dynasty that has been out there, is you've got to get your core guys, and they have about a 4 to 5 year window when they're all at the peak of their career, which Kansas City might be able to make it 6 or 7. But you also have to have a great front office.
They do.
That can know when it's over. And you don't wait a couple of years too long. You react accordingly. And so you start building that next run at a dynasty. Well, maybe you take a slight step back. Instead of winning 12, you win 10. I think that's a big thing with these dynasties is you love it so much. Look at the Royals. And the Royals weren't a dynasty in baseball, but back-to-back trips to the World Series.
Nice
they tried to
run.
run it back in 16. They almost waited too long, and now they're in an abyss right now of, they haven't been back to the postseason. That's the thing with these dynasties is you wait too long. You want to squeeze 1 or 2 more years. The smart people go, no, I can feel it. We've got to do this to prepare so that because the Cowboys were the same way.
Mm-hmm. They didn't do it in the late 90s.
You fall off a cliff.
And they're still there.
Yeah.
Part of their 28-year plan.
Yeah, and that's where I'm, again, it sounds so funny because I could wish that if the Bears were able to ever get to a situation where at least they have a championship window. That doesn't even mean they're winning a championship, but having a window.
There's hope.
This is where I'm seeing some early parts of Ryan Poles compared to Ryan Pace, the old GM, where he's kind of thinking ahead. And one of those true signs is you're trying to build up draft capital as opposed to just burn off draft capital so you can overspend or overreach for a player. To me, that's where it starts. And Ryan Poles comes from the kid. He comes from Brett Veach. He comes from that tree. He understands that you start building up that capital. I mean, think about the Patriots too. The amount of draft capital that they would always build up. To me, that's always a sign of good management if you're looking to have a chance in that type of competition, right?
What you said about receivers, they don't overspend because they're smart at drafting and evaluate.
Yeah, Patriots never did.
There's a line.
Randy Moss, maybe.
Yeah. So there's Isaiah Pacheco has been 0.3 and 0.4% against the cap the first 2 years. Look in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota's got to pay Jefferson.
Yep.
But man, history tells you 21 of the last 24 Super Bowl winners, the quarterback has been the highest paid guy on the roster or he's on his rookie contract.
Right.
So if you're going to keep Cousins, are you going to let Justin Jefferson be paid more than Kirk Cousins?
Yeah.
And even though Jefferson is as great as he is, that takes a big hit in Minnesota. So the Kansas City's done a really good job of before we have to blow the bank on Tyreek Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're gonna keep Kelsey happy and he's not going to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But before we blow the bank, let's move on.
Yeah.
And we're not spending a ton of money on wide receivers. All this maybe is a moot point because you have 15 and then you have Andy Reid and you have Brett Veach working together. But there'll be trio. People can't go, oh, if we do what Mahomes did. No, because you don't have a Mahomes-Reid relationship.
Right.
What you have to do is how do you design your roster in terms of the allocation of the cap money?
Exactly.
Where quarterback is number one and then work from there. So there's certain positions just don't hamstring you.
Yep.
That's why I'm curious about what they're going to do in Minnesota. Are they going to try and bring Cousins back? And then how much are they going to pay Justin Jefferson? Because he deserves to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
But should he be paid more than the quarterback if you really want to win a Super Bowl?
No. I think that the answer simply is no. Shouldn't be.
All right. Brandon Vogel is going to join us here in a little bit. We come back. It is Valentine's Day. I got a question for all the ladies out there and also the men. Love me a long time. All right. 31 past the hour. Some do.
Is that your statement or your question?
Some do.
Okay.
I'm not a guy that's been like in a relationship for 20 plus years.
Yeah. It's been I should know this. 10. Almost 10.
Okay.
Yeah,
that seems about right. And then you get out.
You get your decade in?
16-20 the zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Previously on The Crossover.
We create a podcast. Yes. That way we get two people together who have divorced each other.
Yes.
And they talk about when they realized they wanted to divorce each other.
And how much they hate the other person. That's the key.
And just generally how it all fell apart. Dude, I mean,
It's a great idea.
it's really funny.
I don't think a podcast like this exists anywhere.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley. The Connor Happer Show. Unsportsmanlike conduct. 6A to 6P. 1620. The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Warming up on Valentine's Day Wednesday. Expect partly to mostly cloudy skies with southeast winds gusting 20 to 25 miles per hour. We'll stay dry through most of the day, though can't rule out a spotty shower, mainly after 8 p.m. in the metro. Highs in the mid-50s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
Email unsportsmanlike conduct on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox with whatever is on your mind, from your hot takes to what you think is one. The Zone inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone Inbox.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Brakes? We can save you 15% on that. We have OE quality Duralast brake pads and rotors in stock, ready for pickup or delivery. We also have calipers, brake fluid, tools, and anything else you'll need to do the job right. When you get Duralast pads and rotors together, you'll save 15%. It's just part of what makes us America's #1 brakes destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
It's Pro Time, Nebraska. The Omaha Supernovas, your Major League Volleyball team, have exploded onto the scene with record crowds and a fan experience that is second to none. Witness world-class talent downtown at the CHI Health Center, Omaha. Be there as the Supernovas take on Orlando on Sunday, February 18th at 5 p.m. Don't wait to be a part of history. Secure your tickets today at supernovas.com. That's supernovas.com.
Hi, this is Stacey McElligott, Director of Sales for NRG Media Omaha. NRG Media is looking for an accomplished bilingual new business development salesperson who wants to take their success and skills to the next level. Is this you? Our multimedia account executives work with local businesses to create marketing plans to help them get more customers. On air, digital, on site, audio, video, it's all part of what you could sell. A sales career with NRG Media lets you make a real difference in our community. Get more info and apply online at nrgmedia.com. NRG Media is an equal opportunity employer.
Don't miss this week's Zone Deal.
This week's half-off deal is Cops. Receive 2 $25 gift vouchers for just $25. Cops makes delicious pizza, fresh salads, and tasty charred wings. For the basic menu, click copspizza.com. And for the extended menu, visit them at Shadow Lake Town Center, 180th and Center, and the newly reopened 72nd and Jones locations.
Zone deals go fast. 9 a.m. Friday, 1620thezone.com. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
It's not Dr. Love, but I was thinking this would be a great adult store name. But instead we have Dr. John.
Yeah, that's true.
And I always, so if you're driving on 72nd, right there by Dr. John's, there's 2 entrances, one into their location, and then like to go up the back way into that Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
The look on people's faces when they miss the Walmart, all of a sudden they realize that they're in the parking lot of a adult store.
Oh my gosh, what is this?
Let's go look.
Good luck to everybody out there that's going to spread the love. And like Jimmy and his wife, Alicia, and Dookie Clinton, his wife, Sarah, are going to enjoy some heart pizza.
It's good.
Yeah.
It'll be a long day waiting for that pizza.
So question here. Does not necessarily pertain to me. I'm asking for a friend. Should a woman be obligated to get a gift for the man today?
No.
Okay.
No.
I don't believe so either, but I thought I would ask.
I've never, and usually my wife will, something usually smaller because my birthday's in January. Her birthday's at the end of this month.
You got etouffee last night, though.
Oh my gosh, it was so good. She was like, it's not my best. I'm like,
It's like Mahomes saying, not my best.
yeah, exactly. It was like, okay. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Good group of guys.
You're being hard on yourself. But yeah, so I don't know if like maybe if our birthdays were more spread apart, we would do a lot more. I don't think she's listening right now, but she gets a very nice flower arrangement. But her flower taste is a little bit more unique, so I got to put a little bit more time into picking the right type.
Yeah, don't do roses.
She doesn't like. She likes maybe a rose, but it's got to be like surrounded by a bunch of like different flowers. Yeah, she's not a big dozen rose fan.
Okay. So I have the same deal going because my birthday's in a couple of weeks. So
yeah. So
maybe I'll get a head nod like
she'll. Yeah,
you get a what?
A head nod like
Happy
Wednesday.
Yeah, so it might be something small, probably. I don't know, like nothing more than like $20 that she'll probably give me, which I'm fine with. I don't need any.
She's going to give you cash?
Yeah.
Well, no, like
all in ones to go back to old Nick.
A gift that would be probably the equivalent of around $20 or something.
$20 in ones and a thing of glitter.
It's actually your father that pays your wife. Thank you for sticking with him and having a child.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. That is very, very true.
She gets $100 from her father-in-law every Valentine's Day.
Yep.
Relatable.
Thank you for making him an honest man.
All my friends took the under.
Well, the kid gets a lot though. Kid gets a
for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, and that's a thing. Yeah. Both grandmas spoil them. Then they, daycare. They do a bunch of stuff. Then they exchange Valentines and stuff like that. Kid comes home. It's like Halloween light.
I told you guys we all got a Valentine's
we
Day.
Did.
Miss Cynthia.
Yeah,
it's one of the. And I used to love Valentine's Day in school. I'd make Valentines. You put them in the pocket. You go around the room and
choo.
Yeah,
this is when you'd find out who was into you.
Oh yeah. That's when Jenny Layden, when I put yes or no, she checked no, and I was broken. I like this. I got a Valentine's Day card from Cynthia. It's one of the first times that I've gotten a Valentine's Day card in the last couple of years for somebody that I'm not sleeping with. So, and for the record, Miss Cynthia and I are not sleeping together.
Yes. Well, I mean, I got one too. So otherwise, Miss Cynthia would have.
And that'll be our top play.
Miss Cynthia would have some explaining to do.
She's staying spry at 75.
Is there anybody in this building that you'd rather get a Valentine's Day card than Miss Cynthia? Come on.
Speaking of Miss Cynthia, she'll be proud to. I don't know if she's told any of you guys this, but on Sunday during the Usher performance, the Jackson State Band, that's her alma mater.
Yep. She was really proud of it because I was. I think I was going to the bathroom. I was coming back to the studio, and I said hi to her. She had mentioned that. She was beaming about that.
She is a huge Jackson State fan.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Done like Dion.
Yeah,
Dion Solder University.
We were wondering if they would do like a little nod to Dion in that performance.
Well,
but they didn't.
more college marching bands at halftime of Super Bowls.
Agreed.
I'm fine with it.
By the way, we got to quickly go to break because we got Brandon Vogel. We missed the anniversary yesterday. Was the Marvin Gaye national anthem at the NBA All-Star game at the Forum, where he is the only guy that singing that song took you to church.
Yep.
It was 41 years ago yesterday.
Go watch it during the break.
It's a stark contrast from Carl Lewis at the NBA game.
True.
Yeah.
It was also a great NBA All-Star game that year at the Forum.
What year was that?
83.
83, okay.
No.
I didn't watch it. Wasn't here yet. On my way, but
that was 4. You knew about it.
It was a Sunday at 2:30.
One of the first things you probably mentioned when you came out.
All right.
You think the Lakers can repeat?
What's going on at the Forum?
A lot has gone on in this show today. Brandon Vogel's next.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Now live on Twitch, YouTube, and 1620thezone.com.
Is your concrete cracked or uneven? Hey everyone, Coach Greg McDermott here to explain why you should choose Everlevel Concrete Repair. Many people think they need to replace broken concrete, but repairing it provides durable protection and comes at a fraction of the cost. Everlevel provides permanent repair solutions to fix your concrete and protect it against future damage, and it all comes with a long-term transferable warranty. They offer free inspections to walk you through the entire process. Call Everlevel Concrete Repair today.
Hey guys, it's Nick for Hims. Look, guys, we like simple solutions for any kind of problem, whether they're problems that we like to talk about or ones that we like to keep private. We're always seeking that solution. And the same goes for problems in the bedroom, anxiety, depression, or if you're looking to take better care of your health in general. Through Hims, you can upgrade your daily routines with prescription treatments that can make a big difference and help you regain your confidence and help you feel like yourself again. If you want to regrow your hair, have better sex, or tackle anxiety and depression, you don't have to go to the doctor, the pharmacy, or spend all day talking about it. Just go to hims.com and do something about it. Hims is ready to help you with a wide range of health problems that are not often spoke about, but fairly common. So whether you notice it some of the time or all the time, Hims can help. And you can find that solution you're looking for. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/start. That's hims.com/start for your free online visit. HIMS.com/START.
Dirks Bentley, Gravel and Gold Tour. Live at CHI Health Center on Saturday, August 24th with Chase Rice and Tanner Usry. Dirks Bentley, On sale Friday, 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com. Dierks Bentley, live in concert.
Hi, this is Stacey McElligott, Director of Sales for NRG Media Omaha. NRG Media is looking for an accomplished bilingual new business development salesperson who wants to take their success and skills to the next level. Is this you? Our multimedia account executives work with local businesses to create marketing plans to help them get more customers. On air, digital, on site, audio, video, it's all part of what you could sell. A sales career with NRG Media lets you make a real difference in our community. Get more info and apply online at nrgmedia.com. NRG Media is an equal opportunity employer.
It's the most time-honored tradition to start the weekend, grabbing a cold one from a local Nebraska brewery. Let's be real here. It's cold outside, and you don't want to drink the same boring beer as those Hawkeye fans. Drink Nebraska brewed beer, cider, or seltzers instead. Each week, we're putting the spotlight on a unique Nebraska brewery with One Beer Friday. Share your brew on social media with the hashtag One Beer Friday, and you'll be entered to win a $25 gift card to a local Nebraska brewery. Nebraska is the good life with great beer. Click nebraska.beer to learn more.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, this man is always spreading love wherever he goes. See what I did there? Brandon Vogel from counterread.com joins us. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, guys. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's. So you have an expanding family. So what do we do on Valentine's Day now in the Vogel household?
Nothing. Make something a little extra, maybe special for a weeknight dinner. My son's almost 3 now, and I think we've had a babysitter 3 times in his entire life. So that tells you about how that's going. So, which is fine. It's great. I love hanging out with them. But yeah, nothing. It's just a Wednesday here for me.
Well, okay, but okay. All right. Well, maybe we'll talk off air, Brandon, because as they say, on Valentine's Day, especially because the newborn is how old?
She is 7 months old.
7 months. Okay, yeah. You always got to keep the things the things romantic with the wife, right? That's what they say when you have the newborn. So just making sure.
Yeah. I think I get what you're saying. The reality of the situation I just laid out probably isn't advantageous for me personally, but so it is.
Peacock pays $110 million to carry one NFL playoff game. ESPN is paying $111 million to carry one, or $118 million to carry one playoff game. What's your thoughts on the reported 6-year, $1.3 billion deal that was announced yesterday?
I mean, college football, it's interesting as, the NBA kind of figures out what it's trying to do. I kind of viewed the in-season tournament as a leverage opportunity for the NBA where they could potentially create something specific for a streamer if they wanted to go that route. But I think football remains the sort of untouchable still for now. We just saw the highest rated Super Bowl we've ever seen. So for ESPN's point of view, I'm sure they're quite happy to keep that in the fold rather than break that up as we've seen with some of, the Big Ten eluded ESPN entirely with its new deal. So it's such a strange time in televised media. In the past couple of weeks, we've had the announcement that, hey, maybe a couple of the big players are going to come together and try to create the ultimate sports package, but it's not going to be the ultimate sports package because there's still going to be games that you'd have to subscribe to something else. I don't know. It's a weird time. I kind of felt this way at the time that cord cutting was coming into the fray, became a term that we all knew. I was like, I don't know, just paying for cable where I have pretty much everything I need seemed pretty good. And now we have spread things out, trying to bring them back together, I guess, at least for sports fans, because that remains kind of the one standard that you can count on in terms of numbers.
Brandon, are we Are we too early? Are we in an okay spot to go ahead and start talking about win totals for Nebraska in 2024? And not only win totals, but that greater than a bowl eligibility type win total, maybe 7 to 8.
Oh, it's not too early for me. I've been waiting for these days. Happy Valentine's Day to me. The new SP Plus rankings came out this morning, which means I can then do my own math using those numbers. But we did get the FanDuel number over the weekend, 7.5 for Nebraska. I can tell you, I just tallied this myself. The new SP Plus ratings from ESPN and Bill Connolly will put Nebraska at 7.3. So you round that up to the nearest half number, you're at 7.5. So it seems too early. We can look at this, and I think in these situations, you're better off taking the broadest view you can, because we can look at Nebraska, which we know the most about, and be like, well, I don't know about what kind of quarterback player you're going to get, how many players going to leave post spring, all of the like detail focused things. But on a broad scale, these numbers kind of work. Vegas isn't going out of business because, just numbers wise, you can kind of build a model and feel like, yeah, our model is pretty good. And it at least puts us in the range. So 7.5 for Nebraska didn't surprise me a ton. They've got a schedule based on, what we think these teams now to do it. The spring transfer window does create a little bit of a complication, but based on what we saw over the winter, I'd be surprised. I mean, Nebraska has to lose some people. I'd be surprised if they were a loser, quote unquote, overall, based on what happens in the last 2 weeks of April.
Brandon Vogel from counterread.com joining us. How would you describe to an outsider the relationship between Matt Rule and Tony White?
Seems remarkably strong, given they've coached one season together. And I remarkably strong maybe isn't that descriptive. I would say it seems like Tony White has been one of the guys which we've seen on Matt Rule's staff at the start. We've seen come into the fold in terms of Glenn Thomas, who's kind of been part of the team, so to speak, since Matt Rule started becoming a head coach. I mean, he talks about Tony White in the way that he would a guy he's coached 12 years with instead of 1.5. So, that UCLA job came open somewhat surprisingly, and you had to wonder, because I think, based on my best knowledge, that Tony White probably got his tires kicked for their defensive coordinator job. And then certainly we know from what Matt Rule said this week that he did for the head coach opening that UCLA had. And I'm not that surprised. It kind of went back to, I think, what Rule said about Tony White and that interest, after the regular season had ended, or the season had ended for Nebraska, like, I'll put my guys up for anything, like, I understand this is part of the game. Guys need to progress. That said, I tell them, make sure it's the right job. Make sure it's a job where you're sure you can succeed. And UCLA is an interesting place right now with the conference switch. I don't know what the realistic ceiling is for UCLA in a Big Ten.
So Gary and I were discussing kind of what the message that sends when you have a head coach going to bat for your assistant coaches and your coordinators, the message that sends to your entire staff, and maybe people that might ever be interested in a Nebraska football coaching position, even as an analyst. The question we haven't discussed, and I'm curious your thoughts, does it have an impact on the players when the players see that the head coach is also going to bat for, say, their defensive coordinator or just an assistant coach on staff?
I think it could. I think it only has the potential to reinforce what the players are getting from the coaching staff. I'm guessing, and I don't know this for sure, I don't know how much the players are aware of that. I'm guessing not a lot of them were tuned in to Matt Rule's interview last night. They hear plenty from him, for lack of a better way to put it. But at least for those that do notice or that do see a tweet about it or a headline about it, it should, I think, back up what they're getting from the coaching staff of like, hey, we're here. Like whether you're a coach who's, 35, 40 years old, or you're a player who's 18 or 19, like I'm here to help you get to your to reach your goals.
Exactly.
So I definitely don't think it hurts. Well, it definitely doesn't hurt in any regard. To the degree that players notice it, I think it only serves to reinforce what they're seeing already.
Hey, another night last night, and I know this is for a fact that Jamal Banks has walked on campus, the transfer from Wake Forest, a wide receiver. And he's an older guy. He's a veteran guy. He wants to get to the league, and he wants to use this 1 year at Nebraska to get Nebraska to where they want to go and then to benefit and get him to where he wants to go. So next year when they announce the combine invites, Jamal Banks is on it. But with that said, it's an interesting wide receiver room where some young guys got to play last year. There's some young guys that are being talked about. Like you would think Demetrius Bell won the offseason award. We can't wait to see him. We can't wait to see a healthy Doss. But what do you think Jamal Banks does for Garrett McGuire, a young coach that had young wide receivers last year where maybe there were times they weren't all together?
I think, and Matt Rule's praise of him was certainly effusive. Like you looked at what Banks had done in his career, and you kind of penciled him in for, oh, this guy he's going to be at least a 500-yard receiver for Nebraska, or he probably needs to be. To hear that kind of by their metrics, all of the off-field stuff is going as expected, or maybe perhaps way better than expected. Garrett didn't have that kind of example to point to. Billy Kemp a little bit of like, here, do it like this guy. And there's a difference there between I think coming from a coach of like, here's the expectation, here's what we want you to do, and then seeing it modeled by one of your peers. And it sounds like that so far Banks has been that guy. And Nebraska ends up with no combine invites this year, but we can look back and who knows, what it meant to the younger guys on the squad then. But you've had two transfer wide receivers, Samori Toure, who great FCS wide receiver. There's always going to be about, okay, well, can you do it in the Big Ten? Trey Palmer, extremely athletically gifted player who by the just breadth of talent on LSU, kind of hadn't put up the numbers that he did until he got to Nebraska. Both those guys ended up in the league. So we've seen it work at Nebraska specifically. And I think it does make McGuire's job a little bit easier, at least, or it should.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, great stuff. Aaron earlier in the week had a story on counterread.com about the NFL draft, the Super Bowl. There's also, you could throw in the combine invites as well. You just mentioned your story yesterday on the bidding for the 7.5 wins. What else is to come that you and Aaron are working on counterread.com for the subscribers?
Yeah, well, so like I said, I kind of wait for the first set of a couple power rankings that we get because that allows me to pencil some things out. So we can start looking at kind of, I think, inflection points in this Nebraska season based on what we know now. And if this all seems way too early, like I get it, but I just kind of can't help myself. Because like I said, I mean, this data, like it has value. It's not going to tell you exactly how the year will go, but it wouldn't be very much fun if it did. So that's coming up next for me. Aaron's working on a couple of things that we had from our Trev Alberts interview last week. So yeah, we got plenty of good stuff, and not getting too far away from spring football at this point.
No, we're not. And spring football has started at Appalachian State in Hawaii.
Nice.
There we go.
Hey, as always, my friend, I appreciate it. Happy Valentine's Day to you, the wife, and the family.
Sounds good, guys. Have a good one.
That's Brandon Vogel from counterread.com. I paused there. Was that inappropriate for me to wish his wife a happy Valentine's Day?
No.
Okay, just checking because I don't want to get in trouble.
No, you're fine.
I usually don't say anything out of the box or anything like that. Okay.
You're just being nice.
Okay.
No, you stayed within the limits.
All right. We ran a little overtime, but hey, thanks everybody. This was a fun show today. Everybody love everybody today. Okay.
ELE.
Just get after it. All right, everybody love everybody.
Just get after it.
And also, don't forget it's Ash Wednesday.
That is true.
Okay, so there's a lot going on today, and we got a parade at 11. I love a parade.
Just get after
and we'll be back. Yeah.
Just don't try to do them at the same place.
And also, yeah, I know.
Pace yourself.
We'll see you tomorrow at 6.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this